and was only suitable for people aged 18 or over, will almost certainly have an adult theme, and might well contain sex or violence, which are quite graphic. It may also contain explicit language, including sexual swear words. Thanks for listening.
But here's what his revelation comes to him. He's kind of got all this stuff like touching, wiping, mourning of the animals.
Not wiping, whipping.
Yeah. Also not touching.
I am dyslexic. I hope I'm not having like a stroke.
Do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
And an atheist almost always become supporters of eugenics and abortion.
A swine is hungry for nuts. Jesus hates him too.
Satan is real.
Being a Satanist is an open declaration of revolt against counterproductive received wisdom and mindless rogue tradition.
Decapitate her head off.
We're done. You're done.
Obama!
Welcome to part 2.
Part 2 of the Godless Rebelution.
This is going to be an interesting show.
Covering the Republican primary debates.
Oh, it's going to be good.
This is the main event, and this will be our drunkest show of all time.
Today is August 6th. We have just finished the first part of the Republican primary debates, which was the Kids Table event.
Yeah, which still had some pretty big names, and I think probably we said about 5% of things we were thinking.
Yeah. It's still fairly infuriating.
We just kind of let them go as much as possible without, like, I was really fucking close to tearing my goddamn beard out of my face.
You were stretching that thing out pretty good.
Jesus.
So if you're just now tuning in, you could go back to our previous show and listen to the first debates that we watched and commented on,
which was episode 61.
It's not necessary.
This is episode 62.
This will stand alone, I think, as well. But
yes. All right,
let's get into it.
On we go.
Why do you think America is a Christian nation?
That was the creator of everything.
Judeo-Christian belief to be the foundation of our lives.
And I believe God isn't done with America.
And that's the Lord we know.
Here we go, people.
Tonight's...
Wow.
Nice. Tonight, thousands of people here in the queue, along with millions of voters at home, will get their very first chance to see the candidates face off in a debate.
The Republican candidates, not the only
candidates. You want answered.
Less than a year from now, in this very arena, one of these 10 candidates, or one of the 7 on the previous debate tonight, will accept the Republican Party's nomination. Tonight's candidates were selected based on an average of 5 national polls. Just a few hours ago, you heard from the candidates ranked 11 through 17, and now, the primetime event, the top 10.
Also of note, Fox News is partnering for tonight's debate with Facebook. For the past several weeks, we've been asking you for questions for the candidates on Facebook.
Chris's microphone is fucked.
Nearly 6 million of you, 6 million viewed
it's like
the
we're hearing him through someone else's microphone.
Site, and more than 40,000 of you submitted questions, some of which you will hear us asking the candidates tonight.
I watch Fox News Sunday every week.
Who will be answering those questions? Here they are.
And I want to hurt myself like every Sunday.
In the center of the stage tonight, businessman Donald Trump.
Looking so serious.
Yeah. He did do his hair differently.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
He added more to it.
Yeah.
He put the second squirrel on tonight.
Yes. So did you guys know that Jeb is not his real name? It's Jeremiah something.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huckabee.
Jeb is an acronym for Jeremiah something Bush.
Okay.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz.
Oh, God, I hate that guy so much.
Where's his birth certificate?
He's another one of those people that I absolutely just fucking hate.
Yeah, we could be birthers about
Ted
Cruz and Rubio.
Senator Pubehead.
Fucking Senator Samwise. Fucking Frodo Baggins.
They give him a stool to stand on.
Kasich. We forgot to mention Kasich during our pre-podcast thing. That is a possibility that if I absolutely had to vote for any of them, maybe Kasich.
I still think Carson is the least likely to actually anything about what he's trying to do.
Just stumble around and hope that people decide to help him out.
Yeah, the least
we'll see.
The least damaging.
It might be. The rules for tonight are simple.
Look at his
1
ears.
minute for answers,
They're fucking bright
30
orange.
seconds
Yeah.
for follow-ups. And if a candidate runs over, you'll hear this. It's pleasant, no?
It's as if he just stood in the spray tan booth before he came on stage.
Cavaliers, as I mentioned, and while we expect them to be enthusiastic, as you heard.
He's wearing more makeup than a drag queen.
Time for the candidate. So we're looking for somewhere between a reaction to a LeBron
And a drag queen
James
looks
dunk
better.
and
What's a
the
drag
Cleveland
queen?
Public
A
Library.
drag queen?
Drag queen?
Somewhere there we'll find a
A
balance
drag
tonight.
queen. Drag queen.
Without further ado,
Hey.
let's begin. Gentlemen,
He finally
we
figured us
know
out.
how much you love hand-raising questions. So we promise this is the only one tonight. The only one. Is there anyone on stage, and can I see hands, who is unwilling tonight to pledge your support to the eventual nominee of the Republican Party and pledge to not run an independent campaign against that person? We're looking for you to raise your hand now. Raise your hand now.
Trump's
if
hand
you
will not
won't
go up.
Make
No.
that pledge tonight. Mr. Trump.
The only hand to go
Mr.
on.
Trump, to be clear, you're standing on a Republican primary debate.
I fully understand.
The place where the RNC will give the nominee the nod.
I fully understand.
And that experts say an independent run would almost certainly hand the race over to Democrats and likely another Clinton. You can't say tonight that you can make that pledge.
I cannot say. I have to respect the person that if it's not me, the person that wins. If I do win and I'm leading by quite a bit, that's what I want to do. I can totally make that pledge. If I'm the nominee, I will pledge I will not run as an independent. But and I am discussing it with everybody. But I'm talking about a lot of leverage. We want to win, and we will win. But I want to win as the Republican. I want to run as the Republican nominee.
So tonight you can't say if another one of these.
This is what's wrong. I mean, this is what's wrong. He buys and sells politicians of all stripes. He's already.
Dr. Paul.
Hey, look.
Get him, Frodo.
He's already hedging his bet on the
Jesus Christ,
Clintons,
right out the gate they're at each other's
As
throats.
a Republican, maybe he supports Clinton or maybe runs as an independent.
Okay.
But I'd say that he's already hedging his bets because he's used to buying politicians.
Well, I've given him plenty of money.
That's actually true.
You're not going to make the pledge.
I will not make the pledge at this time.
Okay.
Right out of the fucking gate.
Wow. That's actually true, though. What Rand Paul said is actually true.
Holy shit.
Our first round of questions is on the subject of electability in the general election. And we start tonight with you, Dr. Carson. You are a successful neurosurgeon, but you admit that you have had to study up when it comes to foreign policy, saying there's a lot to learn. Your critics say that your inexperience
because you're a
shows.
jackass.
You suggested that the Baltic states are not a part of NATO. Just months ago, you were unfamiliar with the major political parties and government in Israel. And domestically, you thought Alan Greenspan had been Treasury Secretary instead of Federal Reserve Chair. Aren't these basic mistakes? And don't they raise legitimate questions about whether you are ready to be president?
Yes, they do.
Do me right, I can take issue with all of those things, but we don't have time. But I will say, we have a debate here tonight, and we will have an opportunity to explore those areas. And I'm looking very much forward to demonstrating that, in fact, the thing that is probably most important is having a brain and to be able to figure things out and learn
still to be determined
very rapidly. So, experience comes from a large number of different arenas. And America became a great nation early on, not because it was flooded with politicians, but because it was flooded with people who understood the value of personal responsibility, hard work, creativity, innovation, and that's what will get us on the right track now as well.
See, I don't actually disagree with much of that.
Jeb Bush announced his
he's pretty
candidacy
mundane.
for presidency. He said this: "There's no passing off responsibility when you're a governor, no blending into the legislative crowd." Could you please address Governor Bush across the stage here and explain to him why you, someone who has never held executive office, are better prepared to be president than he is, a man who you say did a great job running your state of Florida for 8 years.
Well, thank you for the question, Chris, and it's great to be here tonight. Let me begin by saying this. I'm not new to the political process. I was making a contribution as the Speaker of the third largest and most diverse state in the country well before I even got into the Senate. I would add to that this election cannot be a resume competition. It's important to be qualified. But if this election is a resume competition, then Hillary Clinton's going to be the next president. Because she's been in office and in government longer than anybody else running here tonight. Wow. Here's what this election better be about. This election better be about the future, not the past. It better be about the issues our nation and the world is facing today, not simply the issues we once faced. This country is facing an economy that has been radically transformed. You know, the largest retailer in the country, in the world today, Amazon, doesn't even own a single store. And these changes have been disruptive. They have changed people's lives. The jobs that once sustained our middle class, they either don't pay enough or they are gone. And we need someone that understands that as our nominee.
Amazon employs a hell of a lot of people.
How is Hillary Clinton going to lecture me about living paycheck to paycheck? I was raised paycheck to paycheck. How is she going to lecture me? How is she going to lecture me about student loans? I owed over $100,000 just 4 years ago. If I'm our nominee,
I'm going to make sure that we continue that trend.
Yes.
Fucking jackhole.
You have insisted that you're your own man. You say you have a life experience uniquely your own, not your father's, not your brother's. But there are several opponents on this stage who get big applause lines in early voting states with this line. Quote, the last thing the country needs is another Bush in the Oval Office.
Absolutely.
So do you understand the real concern in this country about dynastic politics?
Absolutely, I do. And I'm going to run hard, run with heart, and run to win. I'm going to have to earn this.
To secure that dynasty.
The bar is even higher for me. That's fine. I've got a record in Florida. I'm proud of my dad, and I'm certainly proud of my brother. In Florida, they call me Jeb because I earned it. I cut taxes every year, totaling $19 billion.
What does that mean?
We balanced every budget. We went from $1 billion of reserves to $9 billion of reserves. We were one of two states that went to AAA bond rating. They call me Vito Corleone because I vetoed 2,500 separate line items in the budget. I'm my own man.
I wish we had the Don Cheeto
episode. Effectively. And the net effect was, during my 8 years, 1.3 million jobs were created. We left the state better off because I applied conservative principles in a purple state the right way, and people rose up.
He just looks too much like his brother, man. His mannerisms and everything.
Trump, one of the things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting
so hard
animals.
Not to smile.
Your Twitter account
only Rosie O'Donnell.
What?
No, it wasn't.
And the crowd goes wild.
They fucking love it.
Your Twitter account.
Thank you.
For the record, it was well beyond Rosie O'Donnell.
Yes, I'm sure it was.
Your Twitter account has several disparaging comments about women's looks. You once told a contestant on Celebrity Apprentice it would be a pretty picture to see her on her knees. Does that sound to you like the temperament of a man we should elect as president? And how will you answer the charge from Hillary Clinton, who is likely to be the Democratic nominee, that you are part of the war on women?
His bangs look like a blur filter.
I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been...
So you want to be incorrect?
You should be politically incorrect.
So many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either. This country is in big trouble. We don't win anymore. We lose to China. We lose to Mexico, both in trade and at the border. We lose to everybody.
In the drug trade.
And frankly, what I say, and oftentimes it's fun, it's kidding, we have a good time. What I say is what I say. And honestly, Megan, if you don't like it, I'm sorry.
Fuck you.
I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that.
Honestly, Megan, you know what? If you don't like it, fuck you.
He's going to kill himself tonight. He's already started.
We need energy, we need quickness, and we need brain in this country to turn it around.
Just one.
Senator Cruz.
If you don't like it, Megan,
Senator
fuck you.
Paul, right there next to you, said a few months ago he agrees with you on a number of issues, but he says you do nothing to grow the party. He says you feed red meat to the base, but you don't reach out to minorities. You have a toxic relationship with GOP leaders in Congress. You even called the Republican Senate leader
He
Mitch
looks like a
McConnell
cartoon.
a liar
He's an
recently.
asshole. Giant, huge, fucking
How can
cavernous
you win
asshole.
in 2016 when you're such a divisive figure?
Chris, I believe the American people are looking for someone to speak the truth.
Oh, God.
They should look somewhere else.
Yeah, so
if you're looking for someone to go to Washington, to go along, to get along, to agree with the career politicians in both parties,
to run our nation in an effective manner,
with the lobbyists and special interests, then I ain't your guy.
Born in Calgary, 1970.
Renounced
we have
Canadian
$18 trillion
citizenship in 2014, last year.
Because as conservatives, as Republicans, we keep winning elections. We got a Republican House, we got a Republican Senate, and we don't have leaders who honor their commitments.
Gerrymandering is wonderful.
I will always tell the truth and do what I said I would do.
Governor Christie, you're not exactly the darling of conservatives. You tout your record as a Republican governor in a blue state. On Facebook, the most people talking about you, not surprisingly, come from your state of New Jersey, and one of the top issues they are talking about is the economy. This may be why. Under your watch, New Jersey has undergone 9 credit rating downgrades. The state's 44th in private sector growth.
It's New Jersey.
You face an employee pension crisis, and the Garden State has the 3rd highest foreclosure rate in the country.
Build more
so
bridges.
Why should voters believe that your management of the country's finances would be any different?
If you think it's bad now, you should have seen it when I got there. The fact is...
You should see the other guy.
Yeah, it's gone down 9 times,
in the 8 years before I became governor, taxes and fees were raised at the state level 115 times. In the 8 years before I became governor, spending was increased 56%. And in the 8 years before I became governor, there was 0 net private sector job growth in New Jersey. 0 for 8 years. So what did we do? We came in, we balanced an $11 billion deficit on a $29 billion budget by cutting over 800 programs in the state budget. We brought the budget into balance with no tax increases. In fact, we vetoed 5 income tax increases during my time as governor. We cut business taxes $2.3 billion, and we cut regulation by 1/3 of what my predecessor put in place. And what's happened since? 192,000 new private sector jobs in the 5.5 years I've been governor. We have a lot of work to do in New Jersey, but I am darn proud of how we've brought our state back.
Thank you,
Governor
Governor.
Walker.
Oh,
You've
fuck you,
consistently said
Walker.
that you want to
There we
make
go.
abortion illegal, even in cases of rape, incest, or to save the life of the mother.
Wow.
Because
You
he's
recently
a
signed an abortion law in Wisconsin
asshole.
that does have an exception for the mother's life, but you are on record as having objected to it. Would you really let a mother die rather than have an abortion? And with 83% of the American public in favor of a life exception, are you two out of the mainstream on this issue to win the general election?
Yes.
Good question.
Well, I'm pro-life. I've always been pro-life. And I've got a position I think is consistent with many Americans out there in that I believe that is an unborn child that's in need of protection out there. And I've said many a time that unborn child can be protected, and there are many other alternatives that will also protect the life of that mother. That's been consistently proven. Unlike Hillary Clinton, who has a radical position in terms of support for Planned Parenthood, I defunded Planned Parenthood more than 4 years ago, long before any of these videos came out. I've got a position that's in line with everyday America.
Yeah, Planned Parenthood's still going strong in Wisconsin because I got plenty of friends who work for
Walker,
them.
you have staked out strong positions on social issues. You favor a constitutional amendment banning same-sex marriages. You favor a constitutional amendment banning abortions, except for the life of the mother. millions of people in this country agree with you, but according to the polls, and again, this is an electability question, according to the polls, more people don't. So how do you persuade enough independents and Democrats to get elected in 2016?
Chris, I disagree with the idea that the real issue is a constitutional amendment. That's a long and difficult process. I've actually taken a position that's bolder than that. A lot of people are talking about defunding Planned Parenthood as if that's a huge game changer. I think it's time to do something even more bold. I think the next president ought to invoke the 5th and 14th Amendments to the Constitution. Now that we clearly know that baby inside the mother's womb is a person at the moment of conception.
No, we don't. No, it's not.
It is because of the DNA schedule that we now have clear scientific evidence on.
I never heard of that.
And this notion that we just continue to ignore the person.
I have to pause it right there. Are we going to say that people under the age of 18 can now sign contracts?
No.
According to him, there's scientific DNA evidence that they're people.
They're people. They should have every right.
They have their own right to do whatever they fucking want.
That's how we're going to fight the war. We're going to send 2-year-olds over there with fucking little Tyco toys and shit.
Throw AK-47s in the hands of 2-year-olds.
Because according to their DNA schedule, they'll be old enough
at the moment of conception. No.
A blastocyst. A collection of, 5 or 6 cells is a human being.
Right. Fewer cells than are in the brain of a fly, which I guarantee he swats.
Fewer cells than I can scratch off of my fucking forearm sitting here right now.
Yeah, that's a Holocaust.
And so many women have an aborted pregnancy before they even fucking know it.
What an asshole.
Violation of that unborn child's 5th and 14th Amendment rights for due process.
That child has no right to those.
It's time that we recognize the Supreme Court is not the supreme being, and we change the policy to be pro-life and protect children instead of rip up their body parts and sell them like they're parts to a Buick.
Jesus Christ. This guy.
That's three Senator fucking Paul, people that I hate.
Yeah. You recently blamed the rise of ISIS on Republican hawks.
Steering into the
you
crazy
later said
skid.
that statement, you could have said it better. But the statement went on, and you said, quote, everything they've talked about in foreign policy, they've been wrong for the last 20 years. Why are you so quick to blame your own party?
First of all, only ISIS is responsible for the terrorism. Only ISIS is responsible for the depravity. But we do have to examine, how are we going to defeat ISIS? I've got a proposal. I'm the leading voice in America for not arming the allies of ISIS. I've been fighting amidst a lot of opposition from both Hillary Clinton as well as some Republicans who wanted to send arms to the allies of ISIS. ISIS rides around in $1 billion worth of U.S. Humvees. It's a disgrace. We ought to stop it. We shouldn't fund our enemies, for goodness sakes. So we didn't create ISIS. ISIS created themselves, but we will stop them. And one of the ways we stop them is by not funding them and by not arming them.
Yeah, because everybody else is all about funding ISIS.
Yes. You chose to expand Medicaid in your state, unlike several other governors on this stage tonight, and it is already over budget by some estimates, costing taxpayers an additional $1.4 billion in just the first 18 months. You've defended your Medicaid expansion by invoking God, saying to skeptics that when they arrive in heaven, St. Peter isn't going to ask them how small they've kept government, but what they have done for the poor. Why should Republican voters, who generally want to shrink government, believe that you won't use your St. Peter rationale to expand every government program?
Well, first of all, Megan, you should know that President Reagan expanded Medicaid 3 or 4 times. Secondly, I had an opportunity to bring resources back to Ohio to do what? To treat the mentally ill. 10,000 of them sit in our prisons. It costs $22,500 a year to keep them in prison. I'd rather get them their medication so they could lead a decent life. Secondly, we are rehabbing the drug addicted. 80% of the people in our prisons have addiction problems. We now treat them in the prisons, release them in the community, and the recidivism rate is 10%, and everybody across this country knows that the tsunami of drugs is threatening their very families. So we're treating them and getting them on their feet. And finally, the working poor, instead of them having come into the emergency rooms where it costs more, where they're sicker, and we end up paying, we brought a program in here to make sure that people could get on their feet. And you know what? Everybody has a right to their God-given purpose. And finally, our Medicaid is growing at one of the lowest rates in the country. And finally, we went from $8 billion in the hole to $2 billion in the black. We've cut $5 billion in taxes, and we've grown 350,000 jobs.
I don't disagree with this thing on the prison with getting help for medical.
I'm really hoping he says something crazy so I can stick with my Carson bet.
All of you have been talking about, and some of you
Sounds
have been
good to me.
disagreeing about, and that is the issue of immigration.
Oh, boy.
Governor Bush, you released a new plan this week on illegal immigration, focusing on enforcement, which some suggest is your effort to show that you're not soft on that issue. I want to ask you about a statement that you made last year about illegal immigrants, and here's what you said. They broke the law, but it's not a felony. It's an act of love. It's an act of commitment to your family.
I want to know what Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio can honestly say about this.
Oh, yeah.
Because their families weren't immigrants?
Right. And Ted Cruz has only been a citizen of the United States for 1 year?
Well, he's been a citizen in the U.S. longer, but he denounced his Canadian citizenship last year.
So you had dual citizenship, and now he's a sole citizen of the United States. Yes. But still, that begs the question,
right,
of you have to be born within the United States border in order to take president.
Yeah. Anyway, I just was wondering.
Do you stand by that statement, and do you stand by your support for earned legal status?
I do. I believe that the great majority of people coming here illegally have no other option. They want to provide for their family. But we need to control our border. It's our responsibility to pick and choose who comes in. So I've written a book about this, and yes, this week I did come up with a comprehensive strategy that really mirrored what we said in the book, which is that we need to deal with E-Verify. We need to deal with people that come with a legal visa and overstay. We need to be much more strategic on how we deal with border enforcement, border security. We need to eliminate the sanctuary cities in this country. It is ridiculous and tragic that people are dying because of the fact that local governments are not following the federal law. There's much to do. And I think rather than talking about this as a wedge issue, which Barack Obama's done now for 6 long years, the next president, and I hope to be that president, will fix this once and for all so that we can turn this into a driver for high sustained economic growth. And there should be a path to earn legal status for those that are here. Not amnesty. Earn legal status, which means you pay a fine and do many things over an extended period of time.
Yeah, because your brother was able to fix it in 8 fucking years.
Mr. Trump,
although he is more well-spoken than his brother.
Anybody's noticed that you say that the Mexican government is sending criminals, rapists, drug dealers across the border. Governor Bush has called those remarks, quote, extraordinarily ugly.
Fucking Trump.
I'd like you're right next to him, talk to him directly and say how you respond to that. And you have repeatedly said that you have evidence that the Mexican government is doing this, but that you have evidence you have refused or declined to share. Why not use this first Republican presidential debate to share your proof with the American people?
Because I have none.
So, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't even be talking about illegal immigration, Chris. You wouldn't even be talking.
Yeah, because the Republicans have never brought that up before.
That was on anybody's mind until I brought it up at my announcement, and I said Mexico is sending. Except the reporters, because they're a very dishonest lot, generally speaking, in the world of politics, they didn't cover my statement the way I said it. The fact is, since then, many killings, murders, crime, drugs pouring across the border, our money going out and the drugs coming in. And I said, we need to build a wall, and it has to be built quickly. And I don't mind having a big, beautiful door in that wall so that people can come into this country legally. But we need, Jeb, to build a wall. We need to keep illegals out.
Those goddamn brown people.
Yeah.
Mr. Trump, I'll give you 30 seconds.
I've jumped a few walls. I can get over it.
30 seconds to answer my question, which was, what evidence do you have, specific evidence, that the Mexican government is sending criminals across the border? 30 seconds.
Border Patrol. I was at the border last week. Border Patrol people that I deal with, that I talk to, they say this is what's happening because our leaders are stupid. Our politicians are stupid. And the Mexican government is much smarter, much sharper, much more cunning, and they send the bad ones over because they don't want to pay for them. They don't want to take care of them. Why should they when the stupid leaders of the United States will do it for them? And that's what's happening, whether you like it or not.
What is happening?
All right.
What does he say?
There's a lot more to talk about this. We're going to have more
I don't even know what just happened.
On illegal immigration, plus other key topics, including your questions on Facebook.
I couldn't do anything but fucking laugh at that. Like, that guy's fucking crazy.
Oh, he is so crazy. Oh, man. Our stupid leaders.
The Mexicans are sending the bad ones over.
And he's just got that fucking trout mouth going on the whole time.
Welcome back to Fox News Facebook Republican Debate Night. We're going to continue the question.
Are the bad ones the ones that are impoverished and like want a better life?
So let's continue
the Mexicans
conversation.
are sending the bad ones over.
You don't like to talk about Donald Trump, but I do want to ask you about the merit of what he just said. When you say that the American government is stupid, that the Mexican government is sending criminals, that we're being bamboozled, is that an adequate response to the question of illegal immigration?
Chris, first of all, I was just saying to Chris Christie, they say we're outspoken. We need to take lessons from Donald Trump if we're really going to learn it. Here's the thing about Donald Trump. Donald Trump's hitting a nerve in this country.
The racist
He's
nerve.
hitting a nerve. People are frustrated. They're fed up. They don't think the government is working for them. And for people that want to just tune him out, they're making a mistake. Now, he's got his solutions. Some of us have other solutions. You know, look, I balanced the federal budget as one of the chief architects when I was in Washington. Hadn't been done since. I was a military reformer. I took the state of Ohio from an $8 billion hole and a 350,000 job loss to a $2 billion surplus and a gain of 350,000 jobs.
Respectfully, can we talk about illegal immigration?
But the point is that we all have solutions.
Can we get back to the question at hand?
Is touching a nerve because people want the wall to be built. They want to see an end to illegal immigration. They want to see it, and we all do. But we all have different ways of getting there, and you're going to hear from all of us tonight about what our ideas are.
All right. Well, Senator Rubio, let me see if I can do better with you.
Yes, immigrant.
Is it as simple as our leaders are stupid, their leaders are smart, and all of these illegals coming over are criminals?
Yeah, all those Mexican leaders are intelligent.
The first is the evidence is now clear that the majority of people coming across the border are not from Mexico. They're coming from Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras. Those countries are the source of the people that are now coming in its majority. I also believe we need a fence. The problem is if El Chapo builds a tunnel under the fence, we have to be able to deal with that too.
To escape
And that's why you need an E-Verify system, and you need an entry-exit tracking system, and all sorts of other things to prevent illegal immigration. But I agree with what Governor Kasich just said. People are frustrated. This is the most generous country in the world when it comes to immigration. There are 1 million people a year who legally immigrate to the United States. And people feel like we're being taken advantage of. We feel like despite our generosity, we are being taken advantage of. And let me tell you who never gets talked about in these debates. The people that call my office, who have been waiting for 15 years to come to the United States. And they paid their fees, and they hired a lawyer, and they can't get in. And they're wondering maybe they should come illegally.
Yeah, exactly right.
And
that
so
is an issue.
These are important issues,
Exactly
and we should address it. It's a serious problem that needs to be addressed.
I agree.
And otherwise, we're going to keep talking about this for the next 30 years like we have for the last 30 years.
Governor Walker.
Exactly right. I agree with that.
Walker, from 2002 till as recently as 2013, just 2 years ago, you supported comprehensive immigration reform, including a path to citizenship. Now you say that was a quick reaction to something you hadn't really thought about, and then you changed your mind. Other than politics, could you explain why in the last 2 years you've changed your position on a path to citizenship? And are there other past positions?
There was something more politically expedient.
Yeah, well, Chris, I actually said it at your show earlier this year. I flat out said, I acknowledge that. I said I actually listened to the American people, and I think people across America want a leader who's actually going to listen to them. I talked to border state
whether they're
governors
wrong
and other
or
elected
not.
officials. I looked at how this president, particularly through last November, messed up the immigration system in this country. Most importantly, I listened to the people of America. I believe we need to secure the border. I've been to the border with Governor Abbott in Texas and others, seeing the problems that they have there. There's international criminal organizations penetrating our southern-based borders, and we need to do something about it. Secure the border, enforce the law, no amnesty, and go forward with a legal immigration system that gives priority to American working families and wages.
Senator Cruz, some 1,400 people submitted questions on this very hot topic of illegal immigration on Facebook, and a number of them were about the murder of Kate Steinle in San Francisco, allegedly shot down by an illegal. Doug Betancourt sent this question.
One murder
will you support Kate Steinle's law, which would impose a mandatory
tens of
5-year
thousands
prison
is going to
term
change everything.
With a gun that was found in an apartment that belonged to a federal official.
And will you defund sanctuary cities for violating federal law?
Chris, absolutely yes. And not only will I support it, I have authored Kate's law in the United States Senate and filed that legislation. I tried to get the Senate to vote to pass Kate's law on the floor of the Senate just 1 week ago, and the leader of our own party blocked a vote on Kate's law. You know, there was reference made to our leaders being stupid. It's not a question of stupidity. It's that they don't want to enforce the immigration laws. That there are far too many in the Washington cartel that support amnesty. President Obama's talking about fundamentally transforming this country.
Wow.
There's 7 billion people across the face of the globe, many of whom want to come to this country. If they come legally, great. But if they come illegally and they get amnesty, that is how we fundamentally change this country. And it really is striking. Yeah. A majority of the candidates on this stage have supported amnesty. I have never supported amnesty, and I led the fight against Chuck Schumer's Gang of 8 amnesty legislation.
I'd have told my dad to get the fuck out.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to switch topics now and talk a bit about terror and national security.
Oh, terror.
Governor Christie, you have said that Senator Paul's opposition to the NSA's collection of phone records has made the United States weaker and more vulnerable, even going so far as to say that he should be called before Congress to answer for it if we should be hit by another terrorist attack. Do you really believe you can assign blame to Senator Paul just for opposing the bulk collection of people's phone records in the event of a terrorist attack?
Yes, I do. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm the only person on this stage who's actually filed applications under the Patriot Act, who have gone before the federal, the Foreign Intelligence Service Court, who has prosecuted and investigated and jailed terrorists in this country after September 11th. I was appointed U.S. Attorney by President Bush on September 10th, 2001, and the world changed enormously the next day. And it happened in my state. This is not theoretical to me. I went to the funerals. We lost friends of ours in the Trade Center that day. My own wife was 2 blocks from the Trade Center that day at her office, having gone through it that morning. When you actually have to be responsible for doing this, you can do it, and we did it for 7 years in my office, respecting civil liberties and protecting the homeland. And I will make no apologies ever for protecting the lives and the safety of the American people. We have to give more tools to our folks to be able to do that, not fewer, and then trust those people and oversee them to do it the right way. As president, that is exactly what I'll do.
And shut down all the bridges.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm not shutting them down. Just make them one lane.
Yeah.
I want to collect more records from terrorists, but less records from innocent Americans.
Well, how do you do that?
The Fourth Amendment was what we fought the revolution over. John Adams said it was the spark.
Oh my God! Pause it.
Independence.
Pause it. Pause it.
So the British were collecting our phone calls,
dude.
That's what the British were doing.
No wait, we got to go back. He was like, when he started saying, "I want to collect terrorists and not, and everyone's like, woo! And then he's like,
Adam said it was
and then he's like, Fourth Amendment, and everyone's like,
what's that?
What the fuck is that? It's total silence.
Let's do this again.
All right.
That was awesome.
I want to collect more records from terrorists, but less records from innocent Americans. The Fourth Amendment was what we fought the revolution over. John Adams said it was the spark that led to our war for independence.
You know what happened?
Totally fucking dead.
The applause sign went blank.
And I will continue to stand for the Bill of Rights.
And Megan, that's a completely ridiculous answer. I want to collect more records from terrorists, but less records from other people. How are you supposed to know, Megan?
Use the Fourth
What are you supposed
Amendment.
to? How are you supposed
Use
to?
the Fourth
No, I'll tell you
Amendment.
how you
Get a warrant.
Let me tell you something.
Get
you go
a judge to sign
when
a warrant.
Senator.
Go ahead, wait, Governor Christie, make your point.
Listen, Senator, when you're sitting in a subcommittee just blowing hot air about this, you can say things like that. When you're responsible for protecting the lives of the American people, then what you need to do is to make sure that you use the system the way it's supposed to work.
Here's the problem, Governor. You fundamentally misunderstand the Bill of Rights. Every time you did a case, you got a warrant from a judge. I'm talking about searches without warrants.
That's illegal.
Indiscriminately of all Americans' records, and that's what I fought to end. I don't trust President Obama with our records. I know you gave him a big hug, and if you want to give him a big hug again, go right ahead.
Oh, damn. He threw down the hug gauntlet.
Was that an ad hominem? I didn't even know.
Senator Paul, the hugs that I remember are the hugs that I gave to the families who lost their people on September 11th.
Nice.
Those are the hugs that I remember.
Nicely
and
done.
those had nothing to do with politics, unlike what you're doing by cutting speeches on the floor of the Senate, then putting them on the internet within a half an hour to raise money for your campaign, and while still putting our country at risk.
All right, we're going to cut it off there. We have plenty more we want to get to.
Gloves are off.
He is an improviser.
But I really want to get to a Facebook questioner. His name is Alex Shalgren, and he has the following question.
My question is, how would the candidates stop the treacherous actions of ISIL, and its growing influence in the U.S. if they were to become president?
Senator Cruz, I want to talk to you about this because many of the Facebook users and the folks on Facebook wanted the candidates to speak to ISIS tonight. You asked the chairman of the Joint Chiefs a question. What would it take to destroy ISIS in 90 days? He told you ISIS will only be truly destroyed once they are rejected by the populations in which they hide. And then you accused him of pushing Medicaid for the Iraqis. How would you destroy ISIS in 90 days?
Megan, we need a commander-in-chief that speaks the truth. We will not defeat radical Islamic terrorism so long as we have a president unwilling to utter the words radical Islamic terrorism.
Oh, boy. Buzzwords. Oh, boy.
Was that a drink?
When I asked General the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, what would be required militarily to destroy ISIS, he said, there is no military solution. We need to change the conditions on the ground so that young men are not in poverty and susceptible to radicalization. That, with all due respect, is nonsense. It's the same answer the State Department gave, that we need to give them jobs. What we need is a commander-in-chief who makes clear, if you join ISIS, if you wage jihad on America, then you are signing your death warrant.
You don't see it as an ideological problem? An ideological problem
let's bring
in
God
addition to
into
a
it.
military one.
Let's bring God into it.
Megan, of course it's an ideological problem. That's one of the reasons why I introduced the Expatriate Terrorist Act in the Senate that said if any American travels to the Middle East and joins ISIS, that he or she forfeits their citizenship so they don't use a passport to come back and wage jihad on Americans. Yes, it is ideological. And let me contrast President Obama, who at the prayer breakfast essentially acted as an apologist. He said, well, gosh, the Crusades, the Inquisitions. We need a president that shows the courage that Egypt's President al-Sisi did, a Muslim, when he called out the radical Islamic terrorists who are threatening the world.
An apologist for Christians that call out the Crusades?
For days on end in this campaign, you struggled to answer a question about whether, knowing what we know now, you would have invaded Iraq.
Let's do it.
Remember
Do it.
too.
Get into it.
And ISIS, of course, is now thriving there. You finally said no. To the families of those who died in that war, who say they liberated a country and deposed a ruthless dictator, how do you look at them now and say your brother's war was a mistake?
Knowing what we know now, with faulty intelligence and not having security be the first priority when we invaded, it was a mistake. I wouldn't have gone in. However, for the people that did lose their lives and the families that suffered because of it, I know this full well, because as governor of the state of Florida, I called every one of them that I could find, to tell them that I was praying for them, that I cared about them, and it was very hard to do. And every one of them said that their child did not die in vain, or their wife or husband did not die in vain. And so why it was difficult for me to do it was based on that. Here's the lesson that we should take from this, which relates to this whole subject. Barack Obama became president, and he abandoned Iraq. He left, and when he left, Al-Qaeda was done for. ISIS was created because of the void that we left. And that void now exists as a caliphate the size of Indiana.
Al-Qaeda was
to
still
honor
going
the people
strong.
that died, we need to stop the Iran agreement for sure, because the Iranian mullahs have their blood on their hands, and we need to take out ISIS with every tool at our disposal.
Governor Walker,
He's not doing
in
great.
February you said that we needed to gain partners in the Arab world. Which Arab country not already in the U.S.-led coalition has the potential to be our greatest partner?
What about additional ones? We need to focus on the ones we have. You look at Egypt, probably the best relationship we've had in Israel, at least in my lifetime, incredibly important. You look at the Saudis. In fact, earlier this year, I met with Saudi leaders and leaders from the United Arab Emirates, and I asked them, what's the greatest challenge in the world today? Set aside the Iran deal. They said it's the disengagement of America. We are leading from behind under the Obama-Clinton doctrine. America's a great country. We need to stand up and start leading again. And we'd have allies not just in Israel, but throughout the Persian Gulf.
Dr. Carson, in one of his first acts as commander-in-chief, President Obama signed an executive order banning enhanced interrogation techniques in fighting terror.
They don't
As
work.
president, would you bring back waterboarding?
Torture.
Well, thank you, Megan. I wasn't sure I was going to get to talk again.
Great.
That request.
All right. You know, what we do in order to get the information that we need is our business. And I wouldn't necessarily be broadcasting to everybody what we're going to do. You know,
are you sure you want us to vote for this guy?
Yeah.
We've gotten into this mindset of fighting politically correct wars. There is no such thing as a politically correct war. And
but torture does not work.
No, I agree. The left, of course, will say Carson doesn't believe in the Geneva Convention. Carson doesn't believe in fighting stupid wars. And what we have to remember is we want to utilize the tremendous intellect that we have in the military to win wars. And I've talked to a lot of the generals, a lot of our advanced people, and believe me, if we gave them the mission, which is what the commander-in-chief does, they would be able to carry it out. And if we don't tie their hands behind their back, they will do it extremely effectively.
Gentlemen, the next
sounded like a whole bunch of I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
That's exactly why I like him
Mr. Trump,
better than any of the
Obamacare
rest
is
of them.
one of the things you call a disaster.
Complete disaster, yes.
Saying it needs to be repealed and replaced.
Correct.
Now, 15 years ago, you called yourself a liberal on health care. You were for a single-payer system, a Canadian-style system. Why were you for that then, and why aren't you for it now?
First of all, I'd like to just go back to in July of 2004, I came out strongly against the war with Iraq because it was going to destabilize the Middle East. And I'm the only one on the stage that knew that and had the vision to say it. And that's exactly what happened. The Middle East became totally destabilized. So I just want to say, as far as single payer, it works in Canada. It works incredibly well in Scotland. It could have worked in a different age, which is the age you're talking about here. What I'd like to see is a private system without the artificial lines around every state. I have a big company with thousands and thousands of employees, and if I'm negotiating in New York or in New Jersey or in California, I have like one bidder. Nobody can bid. You know why? Because the insurance companies are making a fortune because they have control of the politicians. Of course, with the exception of the politicians on the stage. But they have total control of the politicians. They're making a fortune. Get rid of the artificial lines and you will have yourself great plans. And then we have to take care of the people that can't take care of themselves. And I will do that through a different system.
Cut out the middleman?
I know. Hold on.
Get rid of the capitalist system?
Brian Paul Trump cares. He's already on it.
For a decade. So I think you're on the wrong side of this if you're still arguing for a single payer system.
I don't think you heard me. You're having a hard time tonight.
Just your passion for single payer healthcare. You've also supported a host of other liberal policies. You've also donated to several Democratic candidates, Hillary Clinton included, Nancy Pelosi. You explained away those donations, saying you did that to get business-related favors. And you said recently, quote, "When you give, they do whatever the hell you want them to do."
You better believe it.
So what specifically did they do?
Of course.
If I ask them, if I need them, most of the people on this stage I've given to, just so you understand. A lot of money.
Not me. Not me. But you're welcome to give me a check, Donald, if you like.
Many of them.
Actually, to be clear, he supported Charlie Crist.
Not much. I have.
Donald, if you end your campaign, I hope you will give to me.
Good. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good to me, Governor. I will tell you that our system is broken. I give to many people. Before 2 months ago, I was a businessman. I give to everybody. When they call, I give. And you know what? When I need something from them 3 years later, I call them. They are there for me. So that's a broken system.
So what'd you get from Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi?
Well, I'll tell you what. With Hillary Clinton, I said, be at my wedding, and she came to my wedding. You know why?
Which one?
I gave to a foundation that, frankly, that foundation is supposed to do good. I didn't know her money would be used on private jets going all over the world. It was. But
which wedding, Donald?
We're gonna move on. We'll come back to you, Governor Walker.
Just 1 second on this, though. We spend a lot of time talking about Hillary Clinton and pitting us back and forth. Let's be clear. We should be talking about Hillary Clinton on that last subject, because everywhere in the world that Hillary Clinton touched is more messed up today than before.
We have many questions to come. Many questions to come. Governor Huckabee. On Facebook.
That's you, Wisconsin.
Fuck him. This.
Where's
Will
the Massachusetts
Republican? Or take away the powers and cut the size of the EPA, Bernie the IRS, the Department of Education. Now, broadly, the size of the government is a big
IRS
concern
and Department
for
of Education.
Users,
that was Rick
persons,
Perry's
as well
platform
as
last
obviously conservatives. But year after year, decade after decade, there are promises from Republicans to shrink government.
More money
year after year, decade after decade, it doesn't happen. In fact, it gets bigger even under Republican politicians. So the question is, at this point, is the government simply too big for any one person, even a Republican, to shrink?
Oh, Huckabee.
It's not too big to shrink. But the problem is we have a Wall Street to Washington axis of power that has controlled the political climate. The donor class feeds the political class, who does the dance that the donor class wants. And the result is federal government keeps getting bigger. Every person on this stage who has been a governor will tell you that the biggest fight they had was not the other party, wasn't even the legislature. It was the federal government, who continually put mandates on the states that we had to suck up and pay for. And the fact is, there are a lot of things happening at the federal level that are absolutely beyond the jurisdiction of the Constitution. This is power that should be shifted back to the states, whether it's the EPA. There is no role at the federal level for the Department of Education. And I'm still one who says that we can get rid of the Internal Revenue Service if we would pass the fair tax, which is a tax on consumption, rather than a tax on people's income, and move power back where the founders believed it should have been.
Dr. Carson, do you agree with that?
You know that.
Yeah.
What I agree with is that we need a significantly changed taxation system. And the one that I've advocated is based on tithing, because I think God's a pretty fair guy. And he said,
based on tithing, because God will fix it all.
It doesn't matter how much you made. If you had a bumper crop, you don't owe me triple tithes.
God will fix it all.
No crops at all, you don't owe me no tithes. So there must be
this
something.
This is the guy that you would vote for,
man. That's why I've advocated a proportional tax system. You make $10 billion, you pay $1 billion. You make $10, you pay $1, and everybody gets treated the same way. And you get rid of the deductions, you get rid of all the loopholes.
That's not at all what that means. Everybody was treated the same way. What the fuck is he talking about?
To say about it.
We're going to come back to you, Dr. Carson. Governor Bush, you are one of the few people on this stage who advocates.
They just kind of cut him off like you're a crazy dumbass.
Reading and math. A lot of people on this stage vigorously oppose federal involvement in education. They say it should all be handled locally. President Obama's Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan, has said that most of the criticism of Common Core is due to a, quote, fringe group of critics. Do you think that's accurate?
No, I don't. And I don't believe the federal government should be involved in the creation of standards directly or indirectly, the creation of curriculum or content. That is clearly a state responsibility.
They don't create
I'm for higher
content or
standards.
curriculum.
We should allow our states to be as dumb as they fucking want.
In an intellectually honest way, with abundant school choice, ending social promotion. And I know how to do this because as governor of the state of Florida, I created the first statewide voucher program in the country, the second statewide voucher program in the country, and the third statewide voucher program in the country. And we had rising student achievement across the board because high standards, robust accountability, ending social promotion in third grade, real school choice across the board, challenging the teachers union and beating them is the way to go. And Florida's low-income kids had the greatest gains inside the country. Our graduation rate improved by 50%. That's what I'm for.
Because we lowered the standards.
Why is Governor Bush wrong on
First of all,
Common Core?
increasing Florida's education by 50%.
I too believe in curriculum reform. It's critically important in the 21st century. We do need curriculum reform.
I have a second of all, but
and it should happen at the state and local level. That is where educational policy belongs. Because if a parent is unhappy with what their child is being taught in school, they can go to that local school board or their state legislature or their governor and get it changed. Here's the problem with Common Core. The Department of Education, like every federal agency, will never be satisfied. They will not stop with it being a suggestion. They will turn it into a mandate. In fact, what they will begin to say to local communities is, you will not get federal money unless you do things the way we want you to do it. And they will use Common Core or any other requirements that exist nationally to force it down the throats of our people in our states.
And you agree with your old friend?
He's definitely my friend, and I think the states ought to create these standards. And if states want to opt out of Common Core, fine. Just make sure your standards are high. Because today in America, a third of our kids, after we spend more per student than any country in the world other than a couple of rounding errors, to be honest with you, 30% are college and or career ready. If we are going to compete in this world we're in today, there's no possible way we can do it with lowering expectations and dumbing down everything. Children are going to suffer and families' hearts are going to be broken that their kids won't be able to get a job in the 21st century.
We have many more questions coming on a host of topics here from Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland.
So Common Core is what they're just talking about there. From my understanding of Common Core is a set of standards that are set which students have to achieve. It has nothing to do with curriculum set. It has nothing to do with what textbooks you have to buy.
And they try to make it out to be this. They try to make it out to be a federal mandate, which it's not.
It's not.
It's by state.
Optional.
Yeah, it's by state. It's not a federal mandate at all.
No.
Yeah.
There almost should be a federal mandate on what students have to achieve in order to complete a grade, but there isn't.
Yeah. We talk about No Child Left Behind, blah blah blah.
If there were rules set aside for what each state had to achieve, you probably wouldn't have certain states with dumb fuck students like here in Utah.
Or Texas.
Dumb fuck students here in Utah.
Or Wisconsin. Any of the states that these people are from. Actually, Wisconsin's in the middle, but still.
Yeah. But still, there's so many states that it's an issue. But
and it's just before 10 p.m.
There's
on
Apple
the East
too,
Coast. Welcome back to Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, Ohio, and the
Quicken Loans Arena
primary debate of the 2016.
If we keep going like this, we might actually make the 2 hours on this one.
Based on their standing in
Because
5
we're
national
rarely
polls.
pausing it.
Yeah.
And tonight they are facing off, answering the questions you want asked. We hope.
Am I the only one to say that I would totally bone Megyn Kelly?
Subjects in depth, but we're also going to change it up every once in a while.
I couldn't
hour and have mini rounds.
She's pretty cute.
You're not going to like it. Only a couple of candidates' questions on those subjects.
She's dumb.
This is the first of the many rounds, and it's about somebody who's mentioned enough so far.
I look at her and I just think she's going to say something completely fucked up.
She's fucking dumb.
I'm not attractive.
It'll
to
turn me
anybody
off.
Either. All right. Yeah. Here we go. We got it back.
Whoever that nominee is, he or she will be facing off against Hillary Clinton. You
Hillary
know
Clinton.
How she will come after whoever the Republican nominee is. She will say that you, whoever it is, support the rich while she supports the middle class, that you want to suppress the rights of women and minorities. She wants to move the country forward while
that's a good idea.
The Republicans want to take the country back to the past.
Correct.
How will you, if you're the nominee, how will you answer that and take Hillary Clinton on?
Well, let's start off with my father being a mailman, so I understand the concerns of all the folks across this country, some of whom have trouble, making ends meet. But I think she will come in a narrow way. The nominee of this party, if they're going to win, has got to come at it in a big way, which is pro-growth, which is balancing budgets. You know, we were talking about it. People were saying, could we do it? I was the chairman of the budget committee and the lead architect the last time it happened in Washington. And when we did it, we had great economic growth. We cut taxes and we had a big surplus.
For the rich.
Economic growth is the key. Economic growth is the key to everything.
For the rich.
But once you have economic growth, it is important that we reach out to people who live in the shadows, the people who don't seem to ever think they get a fair deal. And that includes people in our minority community. That includes people who feel as though they don't have a chance to move up. You know, America is a miracle country. And we have to restore the sense that the miracle will apply to you. Each and every one of the people in this country who's watching tonight.
What miracle is that?
Unite everybody and build a stronger United States of America again. It will be.
So stop being so divisive.
Voting for Hillary. I'd like to answer this question, but we're only going to ask one other candidate before we move on to a different subject. Dr. Carson, basically same question to you. If Hillary Clinton is the nominee and she comes at you,
they felt like he was left out.
Line of attack, how will you take her on?
If Hillary is the candidate, which I doubt, that would be a dream come true. But, the fact of the matter is, she is the epitome of the secular progressive movement. And
the secular progressive movement.
She counts on the fact that people are uninformed.
Oh.
The Alinsky model. Don't fail me now. Taking advantage of useful idiots. That people
useful idiots.
And the way I will come at it is to educate people, help people to actually understand that is that progressive movement that is causing them the problems. You look at the national debt and how it's being driven up. If I was
it's not.
What I would do is find a way to drive wedges between all the people, drive the debt to an unsustainable level, and then step off the stage as a world leader and let our enemies increase while we decreased our capacity as a military person.
No, we haven't.
Gentlemen, we're going to turn now to the subject of
I
the
thought I had a
economy,
shot. Kasich was just
jobs,
crazy. He just said the Negroes were in the shadows.
With you. You made a bold promise in your announcement. You have promised 4% economic growth and 19 million new jobs if you were fortunate enough to serve 2 terms as president. That many jobs, 19 million, would be triple what your father and your brother accomplished together. And 4% growth, the last
over 12 years
to average that was Lyndon Johnson during the height of the Vietnam War. So, question, how on earth specifically would you pull that off?
We've done it 27 times since World War II. I think we need to lift our spirits and have high, lofty expectations for this great country of ours. The new normal of 2% that the left is saying you can't do anything about is so dangerous for our country. There's 6 million people living in poverty today, more than when Barack Obama got elected. 6.5 million people are working part-time, most of whom want to work full-time. We've created rules and taxes on top of every aspiration of people, and the net result is we're not growing fast, income's not growing. A 4% growth strategy means you fix a convoluted tax code. You get in and you change every aspect of regulations that are job killers. You get rid of Obamacare and replace it with something that doesn't suppress wages and.
Well, what do you want to replace it with?
Jobs. You embrace the energy revolution in our country. This president and Hillary Clinton, who can't even say she's for the XL pipeline even after she's left. Give me a break.
She should fucking denounce it.
We should be for these things to create high sustained economic growth.
Of course, you're for oil.
Fixing our immigration system and turning it into an economic driver is part of this as well. We can do this.
Governor Walker, when you ran for governor of Wisconsin back in 2010, you promised that you would create 250,000 jobs in your first 4 years.
He's so smug.
In fact, Wisconsin added barely half that and ranked 35th in the country.
He should just cut his nose off because he doesn't breathe through it.
Now you're running for president and you're promising an economic plan in which everyone will earn a piece of the American dream. Given your record in Wisconsin, why should voters believe you?
Well, the voters in Wisconsin elected me last year for the third time because they wanted someone who aimed high, not aimed low.
That's called voter apathy.
The unemployment rate was over 8%. It's now down to 4.6%. We've more than made up for the jobs that were lost during the recession. And the rate in which people are working is almost 5 points higher than it is nationally. You know, people like Hillary Clinton think you grow the economy by growing Washington. One report last year showed that 6 of the top 10 wealthiest counties in America were in or around Washington, D.C. I think most of us in America understand that people, not the government, creates jobs. And one of the best things we can do is get the government out of the way, repeal Obamacare, rein in all the out-of-control regulations, put in place an all-the-above energy policy, get people the education and skills that they need to succeed, and lower the tax rate and reform the tax code. That's what I'll do as president, just like I did in Wisconsin.
Yeah, because trickle-down economics has worked so far.
Yeah, because none of the 1% takes their money and sends it to Swiss or Cayman offshore account and hoards it away. They always put it back in the economy.
You say
Fuck that.
To save the system, you want to raise the retirement age, have to raise the retirement age, and to cut benefits for Social Security and Medicare. And you say that some of the candidates here on the stage are lying. Governor Huckabee says he can save Social Security and Medicare without doing any of that. Is he lying?
No, he's not lying. He's just wrong. I mean, so there's a difference. Listen, I'm the only guy on the stage who's put out a detailed 12-point plan on entitlement reform, and here's why. Because 71% of federal spending right now is on entitlements and debt service. 71%. And we have spent the last hour and 5 minutes talking about the other 29% and no time on the 71%. And that makes no sense. Now, let me tell you exactly what we would do on Social Security. Yes, we'd raise the retirement age 2 years and phase it in over 25 years. That means we'd raise it 1 month a year for 25 years when we're all living longer and living better lives. Secondly, we would means test Social Security for those who are making over $200,000 a year in retirement income and who have $4 to $5 million in liquid assets saved. They don't need that Social Security check. Social Security is meant to be to make sure that no one.
They don't need it now. Why would you wait 25 fucking years?
Grows old in poverty in America. If we don't deal with this problem, it will bankrupt our country or lead to massive tax increases. Neither one that we want in this country.
Governor Huckabee, you say
right
that
now I've got Christie as my
the kind of thing that Governor Christie is talking about would be breaking a promise to the American people.
As your guy?
You say that you can keep those programs, save Social Security, save Medicare without those kinds of reforms through a fair tax, which is a broad tax on consumption. Please explain to Governor Christie how that would work and how you could save these programs without the kind of painful reforms he says we need.
Let's all be reminded 60 million Americans are on Social Security. 60 million. A third of those people depend on 90% of their income from Social Security. Nobody in this country is on Social Security because they made the decision when they were starting work at 14 that they wanted to entrust some of their money with the government. The government took it out of their check whether they wanted them to or not. And if a person goes to 65, they're going to spend 51 years with the government reaching into their pocket at every paycheck. Now, here's the point.
To support people who need it.
Yes. That the system is screwed up. Is it the recipients or is it the government? And if Congress wants to mess with the retirement program, why don't we let them start by changing their retirement program and not have one instead of talking about getting rid of Social Security and Medicare that was robbed $700 billion to pay for Obamacare? It's always that the government figures that they can do this off the backs of people, many of whom are poor and depend on that money. And I just think it's fundamentally lying to the people and stealing from them, and we shouldn't be doing it.
He wants to cut fucking money from people who are putting into the system.
Yes.
And I would guess that his platform would be to privatize that shit during a time when Republicans had control and the stock market fucking crashed.
Yeah.
And people lost half of their fucking savings in retirement.
You pay into Social Security so you can reap it when you retire.
The whole point is that you have a social safety net, not a social safety fucking black fucking hole that these capitalist corporations can suck from every fucking dollar that they want.
Yeah.
I have a proposition.
What's that?
Where we can decrease taxes on every class, reduce the military budget.
Okay.
Pay for every child to go through college, federally funded.
Yes.
Tax the churches. Tax the fucking churches.
As long as I keep getting a paycheck, because I do work for Uncle Sam.
This is like the first time we've paused throughout this.
Yeah,
I know.
So Chris Christie, I think, is my discovery candidate. Not that he wasn't already well known, but I think he'll see a spike.
You're switching from Ben Carson to Chris Christie?
Oh no, that's a different thing.
Oh, okay.
Ben Carson is the one that if I had to vote for one of these Republican candidates, I think he would be the least harmful. Although he said some crazy shit, but they all have. I still take him over Paul or any of the other. I just think Christie is the one that's going to see the biggest spike in poll numbers.
It kills me when I see my progressive friends who are standing behind fucking Rand Paul or Ron Paul because they're libertarians and they want to get rid of fucking the war on drugs and they want to do this and that. And it's like, well, sure, but you don't have to be a fucking libertarian jackhole
to do that.
To do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That can be a progressive stance also, where if you push people who are already on the left to adopt these policies that are leftist policies anyway.
Yeah. Did you see that clip? Oh God, where'd I see it? Of Obama the other day that was talking about prison sentences.
I don't know.
Where he was talking. I don't know what crowd he was talking to, but he was talking about drug offenders and stuff like that. And he's like, if you get caught with personal drugs or whatever, he's like, of course you've committed a crime. You owe a debt to society. But then he's like, you don't owe 25 years.
Yeah.
You don't owe a life sentence.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, fucking right. So it is also a liberal stance. I mean, that shit's ridiculous. All right, Huckabee.
30 seconds.
Yeah, sure. I don't disagree with ending Congress's retirement program. I'm a governor. I don't have a retirement program in my state, and I don't disagree with that. But here's the news for the American people. He's complaining about the lying and stealing. The lying and stealing has already occurred. The trust fund is filled with IOUs. We can't fix the problem just by entering Congress's retirement. That's worth about this much. We need to go at the fundamental problem. And the fundamental problem is that this system is broken. It has been stolen from. We have been lied to. We need a strong leader to tell the truth and fix it.
All right, this is 30 seconds finally.
Well, you ask about how we fund it. One of the reasons that Social Security is in so much trouble is the only funding stream comes from people who get a wage. The people who get wages is declining dramatically. Most of the income in this country is made by people at the top who get dividends and capital gains.
No, that is not.
The way you fucking fix it is that you remove the cap from people who earn more than $250,000.
Yeah.
And you say that we're going to tax all of your fucking income.
Yes.
And the churches. I'm fucking serious.
Oh, yeah.
No, I know it's a joke,
agree.
but
It's not a joke. It's not a joke.
Billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, it's not a joke.
Just from the Mormon Church.
I know, but everyone's worried about fighting all the. No, fucking tax the churches.
Yeah.
Problem solved. What's your problem? Solved. What's your problem? Solved. What's your problem? Solved. Everyone. Oh, it's all solved. It's all solved. Billions of dollars. They're just packing it away.
Transforms the process by which we fund Social Security and Medicare because the money paid at consumption is paid by everybody, including illegals, prostitutes, pimps, drug dealers, all the people that are prostituting off the system now. That's why it ought to be a transformed system.
All right.
Wow.
All right. Enough.
I believe that Huckabee just said that prostitutes are great for the economy?
No, I think what he was saying is that prostitutes and pimps are taking from our Social Security and Medicaid.
No, they're great for the economy if only we would tax them.
Oh yeah.
And I love the transition. He's like, all right, enough. Trump? Like that's gonna be better. No. What do you?
All I know is
Trump,
I pay.
Please weigh in with your well thought out, with your well thought out and contemplative decisions about things.
Let's see how many pimps he has.
Getting a little R-rated.
R-rated?
Mr. Trump, you talk a lot about how you are the person on this stage to grow the economy. I want to ask you about your business record. Trump corporations, casinos and hotels have declared bankruptcy 4 times over the last quarter century.
Boom.
In 2011, you told Forbes magazine this: I've used the laws of the country to my advantage. But at the same time, financial experts involved in those bankruptcies say that lenders to your companies lost billions of dollars. Question, sir, with that record, why should we trust you to run the nation's business?
Because I have used the laws of this country, just like the greatest people that you read about every day in business have used the laws of this country, the chapter laws, to do a great job for my company, for myself, for my employees, for my family, etc.
Because I will abuse the laws of this country to fuck all of the little people. That's why you should vote for me.
And those are the great people.
And I know all the great loopholes.
Never gone bankrupt, by the way. I have never. But out of hundreds of deals.
But sir,
excuse me.
That's your line, but your company.
You're lying.
Out of what am I saying? Out of hundreds of deals, so I've done hundreds, on 4 occasions, I've taken advantage of the laws of this country, like other people. I'm not going to name their names because I'm not going to embarrass, but virtually every person that you read about on the front page of the business sections, they've used the law. The difference is when somebody else uses those laws, nobody writes about it. When I use it, they say, oh, Trump, Trump, Trump. The fact is,
Trump.
I built a net worth of more than $10 billion. I have a great, great company. I employ thousands of people, and I'm very proud of the job I did. Again, Chris, hundreds and hundreds of deals. 4 times I've taken advantage of the laws, and frankly, so has everybody else in my position.
Well, sir, let's just talk about the latest example, which is Trump Entertainment Resorts, which went bankrupt in 2009. In that case alone, lenders to your company lost over $1 billion and more than 1,100 people were laid off.
Well,
is that the way that you run the country?
Let me tell you about the lenders. First of all, these lenders are babies.
Stupid.
These are total killers. These are not the nice, sweet little people that you think, okay?
They're fucking stupid because they gave me money.
And
they're fucking dummies.
I had the good sense to leave Atlantic City, which, by the way, Caesars just went bankrupt. Every company, Chris can tell you, every company virtually in Atlantic City went bankrupt. Every company. And let me just tell you,
and we should continue this trend.
A lot of credit in the financial pages. 7 years ago, I left Atlantic City before it totally cratered, and I made a lot of money in Atlantic City, and I'm very proud of it. I want to tell you that. Very, very proud of it.
And this is something to be trumpeted.
$19 trillion.
So hold on.
And they need somebody like me to...
This is something to be trumpeted.
Nice. So his point, I mean, if you extend this out, what he's basically saying is in 2050, he moves to China. I mean, assuming he's still alive and all that. And they're like,
I hope not.
Right. But I'm just saying, and they're giving him these questions like, you know, you declared bankruptcy in the United States. You had all these, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, but you know,
you burped mid-sentence.
And he's like, yeah, but you know, I made a whole bunch of money before I took off, before that country cratered. And so success
for him.
I hope not. And I would like to give it a shout out to Utah Outcasts, where Chris Reed said that he was fucking happy that the LDS church leader had fucking died. I am totally behind you, dude.
Wait, was that which one?
Parker?
Yes.
Or Packer?
Packer.
Oh, Packer died?
Yeah, Packer died. Packer died, and Chris was like, I'm fucking happy that this guy's dead. I don't care what you fucking say. This guy was an asshole, blah, blah, blah. And he got all kinds of fucking hate mail about it. Fuck those people, Chris.
Yeah, because
I am totally behind you, dude. Fucking Boyd K. Packer. I am totally fucking happy that he is dead also.
And he was going to be the next president.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good. Yeah, he was a way worse bigot than Monson is.
Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
They're all bigots.
As if any of the LDS church leaders are, super progressive
no,
not fucking bigoted assholes.
No, but some are better than others.
Well.
And like,
hiding it?
We're talking varying degrees of assholeness.
Okay, right, but I'm just saying, it's like the question you posed to me earlier, which Republican would I pick? Right? It's the lesser of the least evil, right?
Yeah,
and so
right.
Monson is better than Packer.
Who can harm us less?
Yes, exactly. And so now I'm worried about Holland and Oaks because they're still that great Mormon band, Holland and Oaks.
Yes.
But they're still alive and they're still pretty nasty. Well, because Oaks is affiliated with the World Congress of Families. Yeah. And I'd be surprised if Holland wasn't.
Yeah. Let's hear what Trump has to say, but with his pursed fucking lips.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
I'm still blown away by his bangs. Like you said, they're like a blur.
It's a blur. It's a Photoshop blur filter. I can't see it.
Yeah, he added a second squirrel tonight.
You can't see how his bangs are actually.
No, it's just,
in real life. Like it's this blur.
No, you can usually see his forehead.
It's the Trump bang blur.
A bang blur.
But
out that mess.
Yeah, we love Chris.
I'm going to back this up a second here.
And I made a lot of money in Atlantic City, and I'm very proud of it. I want to tell you that. Very, very proud of it. And by the way, this country right now owes $19 trillion, and they need somebody like me to straighten out that mess.
By declaring bankruptcy.
Yes. And moving to China.
Senator Rubio. Senator Rubio, more than 3,000 people sent us questions about the economy and jobs on Facebook. And here is a video question from Tanya Sialko from Philadelphia. Here she is.
Please describe one action you would do to make the economic environment more favorable for small businesses and entrepreneurs and anyone dreaming of opening their own business.
That's a great question.
Senator, how do you answer, Tanya?
That's a great question. First of all, it begins by having leaders that recognize that the economy we live in today is dramatically different from the one we had 5 years ago. It's an economy that now has placed us in global competition with dozens of other countries around the world. Now, the big companies that have connections with Washington, they can affect policies to help them. But the small.
So he's saying 5 years. He's saying within 5 years ago, which would be within the Obama presidency.
Yes.
Right? Okay. I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page here.
I just want to make sure that his earlobes couldn't possibly get any longer.
They get bigger the more he lies.
He's like Pinocchio with earlobes.
Yes. About, they're the ones that are struggling. The first thing we need to do is we need to even out the tax code for small businesses so that we lower their tax rate to 25%, just as we need to lower it for all businesses. We need to have a regulatory budget in America that limits the amount of regulations on our economy. We need to repeal and replace Obamacare, and we need to improve higher education so that people can have access to the skills they need for 21st century jobs. And last but not least, we need to repeal Dodd-Frank. It is eviscerating small businesses and small banks. Over 40% of small and mid-sized banks that loan money to small businesses have been wiped out since Dodd-Frank has passed. We need to
because
repeal
they were
and replace
fucking corrupt.
Yes, we need to make America fair again for all businesses, but especially those being run by small business owners.
Senator Rubio, thank you.
Gentlemen, another question for a few of you. Just yesterday, President Obama criticized Republican lawmakers trying to block the Iran deal, calling them knee-jerk partisans, adding that hardliners in Iran who chant death to America were, quote, making common cause with the Republican caucus. Here's what two of your opponents on the 5 p.m. debate stage said about Iran.
I will tell you one thing. I would a whole lot rather had Carly Fiorina over there doing our negotiation than John Kerry. Maybe we would have gotten a deal where we didn't give everything away. But the issue for us is to have a Congress that stands up and says not only no, but hell no to this money going to a regime that is going to use it for terror.
When America does not lead, the world is a dangerous and a tragic place. This is a bad deal. Obama broke every rule of negotiation. Yes, our allies are not perfect, but Iran is at the heart of most of the evil that is going on in the Middle East through their proxy.
Now, I want to ask a few of you this. First, Governor Walker, you've said that you would tear up the Iran deal on day one. If this deal is undone, what then?
Well, first off, let's remember, I still remember as a kid tying a yellow ribbon around the tree in front of my house during the 444 days that Iran held 52 Americans hostage. Iran is not a place we should be doing business with. To me, you terminate the deal on day one. You reinstate the sanctions authorized by Congress. You go to Congress and put in place even more crippling sanctions in place. And then you convince our allies to do the same. This is not just bad with Iran. This is bad with ISIS. It is tied together. And once and for all, we need a leader who's going to stand up and do something.
So he wants to completely destroy a country
of the failed foreign policy
and make them an
of the Obama
even bigger
Clinton
enemy.
doctrine.
Senator Paul, would you tear up the deal on day one?
I oppose the Iranian deal and will vote against it. I don't think that the president negotiated from a position of strength, but I don't immediately discount negotiations. I'm a Reagan conservative. Reagan did negotiate with the Soviets, but you have to negotiate from a position of strength. And I think President Obama gave away too much too early. If there's going to be a negotiation, you're going to have to believe somehow that the Iranians are going to comply. And I asked this question to John Kerry. I said, do you believe they're trustworthy? And he said, no. And I said, well, how are we going to get them to comply? I would have never released the sanctions before there was consistent evidence of compliance.
Governor Huckabee, what do you think about what Senator Paul just said?
Ronald Reagan said trust but verify. President Obama is trust but vilify. He trusts our enemies and vilifies everyone who disagrees with him. And the reason we disagree with him has nothing to do with party. It has to do with the incredibly dangerous place that this world is going to be as a result of a deal in which we got nothing. We didn't even get 4 hostages out. We got nothing. And Iran gets everything they want. We said we would have anywhere, anytime negotiations and inspections.
Are you
we
fucking
gave
kidding
that up.
me?
We said that we would make sure that they didn't have any nuclear capacity. We gave that up. The president can't tell us what we got. I'll tell you what the world got. The world has a burgeoning nuclear power that didn't, as the Soviets say, we might defend ourselves in a war. What the Iranians have said is, we will wipe Israel off the face of the map, and we will bring death to America. When someone points
that is not at all what they have said.
By God,
you're a fucking liar.
You
are a
we need
fucking
to take that seriously.
liar.
Thank you, gentlemen.
They're all liars. And why do you care so much about Israel, you fucking idiot?
Continues
Who cares?
after
It's fucking Israel. Who cares?
Mike Huckabee is a fucking liar.
Michael
I don't want
Huckabee.
to come off as like I don't care about other human beings, but this whole connection with Christians and they're trying to tie themselves into Jews and all that shit for the forthcoming of the end of the world and that fucking shit drives me nuts.
No, Mike Huckabee is a fucking liar. He if he doesn't know that he's lying, he should. He should know that he is a fucking liar.
Yeah.
You should say it 4 more times. Liar! Liar!
Fucking liar.
What movie is that from? Liar! Liar!
Oh,
what is that from?
Princess Bride.
Is it?
Liar! Liar!
Oh yeah.
Nice.
When he goes to make the potion to bring him back to life with the walnuts or whatever.
Mike Huckabee is a fucking liar.
Well, if you repeat a lie enough, it becomes the truth.
Sometimes, well, especially if you're a fucking Republican.
Yes.
Because you don't have to worry about your people fact-checking your shit because they're going to believe whatever comes out of your fucking suckhole. He's a fucking liar.
My thing is, do you want to make an enemy or do you want to make, a friend? Not necessarily a friend, but do you want to make things worse or try to patch things up a little bit?
I look for, honestly, so, within the atheist community, there's been this whole thing over the past, 5-6 years of Are you going to take the feminist / super uber PC thing versus the atheists who are just trying to be assholes, blah, blah, blah? It's a false dichotomy, right? You look, I try to work toward commonality of purpose. And it really fucking bothers me when I see atheists aligning themselves with those who seek to bring down the atheist movement. Yeah. I see way too many people in positions of power, PZ Myers, who seek to destroy other atheists and say, you're not atheisting right. And I'm gonna fucking drag you through the coals and through the middle of town and burn you at the fucking stake because you don't believe exactly the way that I do about everything. And I'm gonna fucking ruin your reputation, say everything slanderous and evil and vile that I fucking can about you, and take all of the quotes that I can find about you completely out of context and make you out to be a fucking asshole, versus we're atheists. We're working toward a common goal. I want to find the places where our beliefs intersect and work toward a common goal. Like fucking Ed Brayton, who founded fucking Free Thought Blogs. I don't know if you guys saw this.
I don't think I did.
Left, like yesterday or today, Free Thought Blogs to join Pathos.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Because Free Thought Blogs has turned into a fucking cesspool of shitheads, led by PZ Myers.
Okay.
We should probably call him out a bunch.
Like it kills me because PZ has come to Utah. Tracy and I have gotten pictures with PZ Myers when he's come to speak and everything.
Talked to PZ.
It's been good. I like a lot of the things that PZ says.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't like about what PZ does is setting atheists against other atheists who have a common cause and a common goal in mind, to say that these people don't believe exactly the way that I want them to, so you all should consider them a fucking enemy.
Do you know what I think, though?
I'm drunk.
Huckabee. Well, there's that, yeah, but Huckabee's a fucking liar. Liar, pants for hire.
Liar, pants on fire.
The reason why I brought that up was the whole Iran thing.
Yeah.
Would you rather us keep sanctioning them and take things away from them to make them more of an enemy, or try to work with them and say,
spare people's lives?
Yeah, where do we have a common goal? What do you need? What do we want?
I've already solved this problem. Remember?
I don't think taxing the church helps with that one.
Sure it does.
I'm drucking funk.
Yeah. We tax the churches, cut the military spending, and send all of the American citizens through college for free, federally funded, and then extend our services to the less fortunate parts of the world and build them up as well. Remember?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. What am I asking?
Remember that one time?
What do you need that makes you not want to kill us?
I did say that. Yeah, the Visa Arabic Historic Center. Remember that one time? Let's get back to Jeb Bush.
All right, here we go.
Jeb Bush.
Florida, I defunded Planned Parenthood. I created a culture of life in our state.
A culture of birth.
We were the only state to appropriate money for crisis pregnancy centers. We expanded dramatically the number of adoptions out of our foster care system. We did parental notification laws. We ended partial birth abortion. We did all of this, and we were the first state to do a Choose Life license plate. Now 29 states have done it.
License plate.
Tens of millions of dollars have gone to create a culture where more babies are adopted.
But did you know?
No, I didn't know, but it doesn't matter.
Did
I
you
was
know?
working on this board because of the education. My record
really
is
didn't.
clear.
My
record as a pro-life governor is not in dispute. I am completely pro-life, and I believe that we should have a culture of life. It's informed by my faith from beginning to end.
Pro-life, yet you have the most death sentences.
Your faith should have fucking nothing to do with at all whatsoever with how you lead the country.
We get to the point where we respect life in its fullest form across the board.
Wow.
Senator Rubio.
Seriously.
So that means not going to war, like your brother did.
Your faith
And
should
your father
have
did.
your faith should have fuck all to do with you leading the fucking country.
Yep.
If you want to claim fucking religious privilege, religious freedom, whatever, it should have fucking nothing at all to do with you leading the fucking country.
Yeah. Well, separation of church and state's a myth. I mean, you know that, right?
Well,
what about the Establishment Clause?
Why did you even pause when you looked at me?
No, I mean, no.
Why did
if
you pause?
If you want to say that religious liberty has nothing to do at all whatsoever to do with leading the fucking country,
no, I agree with you.
I would have to disagree with you.
What?
If religious liberty has nothing at all to do with you leading the fucking country, and you say shit like fucking Jeb Bush just did. That's where our disagreement comes in, right?
I don't know what you're saying, dude.
No.
Religious liberty has nothing to do with governing, and yet you say what Jeb Bush just did. Those are contradictory terms.
No. I'm saying that if you believe in religious liberty,
okay,
you cannot support what Jeb Bush just fucking said.
Dude, I don't. I was fucking...
That's what I'm saying.
Holy shit.
Have I mentioned that I'm drunk?
You're fucking... Dude, hey...
You are quite red.
I am too, but when we started this, I fucking said this is going to be the drunkest episode we've ever done. Because we already did part 1 of this.
Yeah.
Am I making no sense at all?
No, you're making sense to me, but I know you very well. So I was just giving you shit about
But no, that's what I'm saying is that if you want to claim religious liberty, you can't say that my religion trumps whatever fucking else anybody else wants to choose to believe.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I was just saying that the separation of church and state's a myth, and you were
Church and straight.
That's a truth.
I'm just saying you can't look at Jeb Bush and think, okay, religious liberty means that only Christian ideals are the way we need to go.
I can't look at anyone and think that's the way that
well,
it is.
right.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to believe in religious liberty, then you have to believe in religious liberty for everybody.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of religious liberty.
Well, yeah. So my interpretation...
I'm wearing my Satanic Temple t-shirt right now.
You sure are. My interpretation is that everyone has the freedom to believe whatever they want and to act on those beliefs so far as it falls within the laws of the country.
Correct.
If it starts to extend beyond the laws, then you have fuck all to say about your religious liberty,
right.
which pertains to bigotry, racism, persecution of any other class, which they're trying to say it's my religious liberty to be a bigot and be a racist,
which is what Jeb was just saying.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Exactly right. So as long as it's within the laws of the Constitution, you have the right to believe whatever the fuck you stupid shit you want.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
You favor a rape and incest exception to abortion bans. Cardinal Timothy Dolan of New York just said yesterday those exceptions are preposterous.
Fuck him and Bill Donahue.
He said they discriminate against an entire class of human beings. If you believe that life begins at conception, as you say you do, how do you justify ending a life just because it begins violently through no fault of the baby?
Well, Megan, first of all, I'm not sure that that's a correct assessment of my record. I would go on to add that I believe all...
You don't favor a rape and an incest exception?
I have never said that, and I have never advocated that. What I have advocated is that we pass law in this country that says all human life at every stage of its development is worthy of protection. In fact, I think that law already exists. It's called the Constitution of the United States.
Nope. No. And I'm going to jack off all over his fucking face.
I believe that every single human being is entitled to the protection of our laws, whether they can vote or not, whether they can speak or not, whether they can hire a lawyer or not, whether they have a birth certificate or not. And I think future generations will look back at this history of our country and call us barbarians for murdering millions of babies who we never gave them a chance to
They're
live.
not babies. They're not fucking babies.
No.
In 1999, you said you were, quote, very pro-choice, even supporting partial birth abortion. You favored an assault weapons ban as well. In 2004, you said in most cases you identified as a Democrat. Even in this campaign, your critics say you often sound more like a Democrat than a Republican, calling several of your opponents on this stage things like clowns and puppets. When did you actually become a Republican?
I don't think they like me very much. I'll tell you what. I've evolved on many issues over the years, and you know who else has? Is Ronald Reagan evolved on many issues. And I am pro-life. And if you look at the question, I was in business. They asked me a question as to pro-life or choice. And I said, if you let it run, that I hate the concept of abortion. I hate the concept of abortion. And then since then, I've very much evolved. And what happened is friends of mine years ago were going to have a child, and it was going to be aborted, and it wasn't aborted. And that child today is a total superstar, a great, great child. And I saw that, and I saw other instances, and I am very, very proud to say that I am pro-life. As far as being a Republican is concerned, I come from a place, New York City, which is virtually, it's almost exclusively Democrat. And I have really started to see some of the negatives. As an example, and I have a lot of liking for this man, but the last number of months of his brother's administration were a catastrophe. And unfortunately, those few months gave us President Obama, and you can't be happy about that.
Fucking Donald Trump. Oh. Donald Trump is all for not aborting. I don't want to go all Glenn Beck on you.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
But Donald Trump is all for not aborting Adolf Hitler.
Yes.
Adolf Hitler
could have been aborted.
We should not have ever aborted Adolf Hitler.
That's what he said. Adolf Hitler could have been
a potential human being who could have gone on to great things.
Yeah, well, Hitler did go on to great things.
Wait.
Great
things? You might want to change your.
You may need to clarify that a little bit.
If we're talking about great in terms of expansive or
he didn't do a lot of good.
Germany was all fucking behind Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
Prior
I don't mean great in a positive way. I'm just saying great as in large or
he ran a great campaign.
Large or expansive or
right, like the way that the Bible uses terrible, for just an exaggerated term of a lot of something.
Yeah.
Okay. Adolf Hitler was successful.
He was. He killed a lot of Jews.
That's true, of
course.
That's one of my largest arguments against people who say that they are pro-life, which is fucking bullshit. They're not pro-life, they're pro-birth.
Yeah.
They're not pro-life. They don't give a shit about
what happens
people
afterwards.
After they're fucking born.
No.
They want to cut all of the social welfare programs for them, all of the safety nets that would provide for these people to grow up to be decent human fucking beings. They just want them to be born into the world and then fuck them.
Yep. Yeah. No. So it's like, we're gonna make sure you can't abort it, even in cases of rape and danger to the mother. We're gonna make sure that you absolutely have to have that child. Then we're gonna cut all the social programs, all the welfare. We're gonna defund Planned Parenthood. We're gonna make sure you can't take care of it. We're gonna make sure
sure that nothing like this ever fucking happens again.
Yeah, we're gonna absolutely make sure that you can't support the child, that it's going to grow up in abject poverty, and that it's never going to get out of that cycle. And that's what you have to deal with. Well, is the government going to help me since you're going to, no, fuck you. No, we're not, we're going to cut all of that.
But we're going to force you to have that child.
Yeah, you just have to have it. That's all we care about. You just have to have it.
You as a human being have to carry this fucking tumor to term.
They do turn into tumors sometimes. There's that lady that's like, there's that like 96-year-old lady who didn't realize that
this
like
succubus,
40 years ago.
this fucking
turn on Trump. Turn on Trump.
Well,
all right, here comes Trump.
It does leech off you.
Governor Bush, I want to ask you on the subject of name calling of your fellow candidates. A story appeared today quoting an anonymous GOP donor who said you called Mr. Trump a clown, a buffoon.
Don't bring up
something else that cannot be repeated on television.
None of which is true.
Is it true?
No, it's not true. But I have said that Mr. Trump's language is divisive. I want to win. I want one of these people here, or the ones at 5 o'clock, to be the next president of the United States.
It's not divisive, it's divisive.
Doing what Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton do each and every day, dividing the country, creating a grievance kind of environment. We're going to win when we unite people with a hopeful, optimistic message. I have that message because I was a governor of a state that saw people lifted up because we had high sustained economic growth. Our economy grew at double the rate of the nation. We created 1.3 million jobs. We led the nation 7 out of those 8 years. We were only one of 2 states that went to AAA bond rating. I cut taxes $19 billion. If you do that and apply conservative principles the right way, you create an environment where everybody rises up. That's how we're going to win. Campaigning in places to give people hope that their life is better, because too many people are suffering today in America.
Mr. Trump.
Well, how'd your brother do at that?
Conservative principles would dictate that you conserve those resources only toward those who are viable and able to use those resources, correct?
Right?
I mean, you're not going to offer these fucking potential resources to fetuses who are 1 week, 2 weeks along, whatever. You're going to be a conservative. You're going to restrict these resources to only those who are potentially viable American citizens who can contribute to growing the economy.
Yes. Is not a developing child potentially viable?
Not yet.
No, they're developing. They're not viable. They're developing.
What do they contribute to the workforce?
They're developing. Is somebody who crosses the border who can't speak fucking English fucking viable as developing Americans?
They could be.
Yeah. Of course they are.
Well, you and I can agree on that, but these fucking people won't do that, right?
I didn't know you want me to play conservative.
These people won't
I thought
fucking
you were getting
say that.
crazy. I was like, oh, dude.
Dan's
yes,
lost
they
it.
are.
No. Yeah.
They won't say that. They won't say that anybody who fucking hops the border is a viable American.
They're more economically viable than a fetus.
Yeah, but there's a well-known track record of them being very willing to protect fetuses, or well, not even fetus, but cells from conception on.
A blastocyst.
Right? So according to them, that
Zygote.
is viable. Yeah. So anything that the mother consumes to help that potential life is something that they've been protecting. So that's where I'm confused.
Why don't they extend it further then? Why don't they go back to
I'm not a
Why don't they go back to
Republican.
fucking John Doe fucking beating his meat in fucking privacy while he's sitting at his fucking computer watching porn?
That's why I'm not a Republican.
That's pretty viable.
If John Doe fucking spills his seed, there goes millions of fucking potential fucking humans.
I've killed trillions.
Oh, you don't want to know how many. You don't want to know how many viable potential humans I've fucking wasted on my fucking golf towels.
No, I don't. All right,
that makes it hard to clean golf clubs.
Back to Bush.
Well, first of all, Jeb, I am very happy that you denied that, and I appreciate that very much. I mean, he's a true gentleman. He really is. The one thing he did say about, and I mean that, the one thing he did say about me, however, was my tone, and I also understand that. But when you have people that are cutting Christians' heads off, when you have a world at the border and at so many places that it's medieval times, we've never, it's almost
because fuck every other religion.
It ever was in terms of the violence and the horror. We don't have time for tone. We have to go out and get the job done.
Yeah, fuck the Shiites and the
Subject
Sunnis.
of gay marriage and religious liberty. Governor Kasich,
oh boy.
if you had a son or daughter who was gay or lesbian, how
here
would
we
you
go.
explain to them your opposition to same-sex marriage?
Well, look, I'm an old-fashioned person here, and I happen to believe in traditional marriage. But I've also said the court has ruled.
But how would you explain to your child?
Megan, the court has ruled, and I said we'll accept it. And guess what? I just went to a wedding of a friend of mine who happens to be gay.
And so it doesn't fucking matter if my child was gay or not. I have to wait for the Supreme Court to weigh in to decide if I'm going to be a fucking decent human being or not.
Well, 2 months ago, he would have thrown him on the curb.
Technically, he hasn't actually address that particular point.
No, he has. He fucking said
the Supreme Court ruled on it. Now I got to deal with it.
He fucking said that the Supreme Court has made their decision, and I'm going to have to fucking follow that because that's now the law of the land.
Okay, let's see.
It doesn't matter what my fucking personal decision is, what my personal morality is. I'm going to have to fucking follow what the Supreme Court has said.
Let's see what he says.
And he's also using I got a gay friend, so I understand.
Yeah, he is using the gay friend thing, but let's see what he says. Let's let him finish. Let's see what he says.
Because somebody doesn't think the way I do doesn't mean that I can't care about them or I can't love them. So if one of my daughters happened to be that, of course I would love them and I would accept
if
them.
they happen to be fucking gay, of course, maybe.
When we have strong
I don't think that's a terribly objectionable answer.
Issues
I think it's horrific.
There are reasons to object to it.
To divide us. I think the simple fact of the matter is, and this is where I would agree with Jeb, and I've been saying it all along, we need to give everybody a chance, treat everybody with respect,
be heterosexual,
and let them share in this great American dream that we have, Megan. So, look, I'm going to love my daughters. I'm going to love them no matter what they do, because you know what?
He's on a
God
stage.
gives me unconditional love.
Yeah,
I'm making assumptions based on what he's not fucking saying. He's not saying that I would love people regardless of their fucking religious beliefs or my religious beliefs or their sexual preferences. I would understand that they are fucking human beings and I would treat them the same regardless of what they happen to view as their sexual preference. So he's not saying that.
Right.
He's saying that I will have to, I guess I'll have to follow Supreme Court precedent and say that if the Supreme Court says that gay people are okay, then I guess I'll have to say that they're okay too.
I don't think that's what he said.
What do you think he said?
I think he said, I'm for traditional marriage. However, the Supreme Court ruled that all marriages are allowed, so we'll follow that too. Then he said, on the matter of my children being gay, if that happened to be the case, I would love them anyway. Now, I agree. He did not answer it perfectly.
I would love them anyway.
Well, I don't even okay. I don't know that he said that exactly, but I'm saying look,
that's terrible. But I guess I'd have to figure they're okay anyway.
Okay, so all I'm saying,
regardless,
yes,
but next week I'm going to stone him.
All I'm saying is he didn't answer it perfectly, but it could have been so much worse for the Republican Party.
Well, sure. I mean, he could have said, "Fuck the faggots, I'll burn them at the stake."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, sure, it could have been fucking worse, but it's not a whole lot better.
It's a whole lot better.
No, it's not a whole lot better.
It's a whole lot better than burn them at the stakes. Yes, it is.
I disagree.
Okay.
Give it to my family and my friends and the people around me.
I don't think it's perfect, but it's better than burning them at the stakes.
I'll leave it up to everybody else to decide if I should burn my children at the stake.
Ruling on same-sex marriage, Carol Fox on Facebook wants to know the following. Quote, what will you do to ensure Christians are not prosecuted for speaking out against gay marriage? And will Christians be forced to conduct business that conflicts with their religious beliefs?
What the fuck?
Look, I don't want my marriage or my guns registered in Washington.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And if people have an opinion that's a religious opinion that is heartily felt, obviously they should be allowed to practice that, and no government should interfere with them.
Right.
One of the things that really got to me was the thing in Houston where you had the government, the mayor, actually trying to get the sermons of ministers. When the government tries to invade the church to enforce its own opinion on marriage, that's when it's time to resist.
It wasn't trying to invade the church. It was saying that you as a... It wasn't trying to invade the church. It was saying that you as a fucking public servant and a public employee need to do your fucking job.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Lives Matter movement and beyond believe that overly aggressive police officers targeting young African Americans is the civil rights issue of our time.
Oh, dear.
Do you agree? And if so, how do you plan to address it? If not, why not?
Well, I think the most important thing we can do when it comes to policing is something you've had a guest on who's a friend of mine, Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark, who's talked to me many times about this in the past. It's about training. It's about making sure that law enforcement professionals, not only on the way in to their positions, but all the way through their time, have the proper training, particularly when it comes to use of force and that we protect and stand up and support those men and women who are doing their jobs in law enforcement. And for the very few that don't, that there are consequences to show that we treat everyone the same here in America.
Yeah, but there aren't consequences. That's the problem.
Yeah. Coming up, more of our debate, including questions about.
It's a very minimal investigation, and then it's oh well, it was self-defense, or he was, whatever, but
they were just doing their job.
Yeah. Well, let's not get. You guys go ahead.
Well, the latest shooting, that guy's fucked.
News today.
Let's see.
Did you see that one?
I don't. Which one?
Really get into
the one where the cop said guy tried to run him down, but when they showed the back of the video, the guy was car going forward and he shot the guy in the head.
Dude, I don't want to get into it.
Well, that cop.
I really don't.
Well, that one, literally the commissioner or whatever's like, yeah, dude, you're screwed. That guy, what
this
you said he did,
murder.
He did not do.
You lied about what fucking happened. You shot him in the head for no fucking reason at all.
He's getting in trouble.
Is foreign policy. Candidates, you may not have seen the late developing news today. Our Fox Pentagon team broke earlier this evening about a top Iranian general traveling to Moscow to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. His name is General Qasem Soleimani. He's blamed for hundreds of U.S. troops' deaths in Iraq and Afghanistan. His trip to Russia appears to directly violate UN Security Council resolutions to confine him to Iran. So, Mr. Trump, if you were president, how would you respond to this?
I would be so different from what you have right now, like the polar opposite. We have a president who doesn't have a clue. I would say he's incompetent, but I don't want to do that because that's not nice.
Except you just did. He's so much smarter.
I don't want to say it, but I just said it.
Whether it's the nuclear deal with 24-hour periods, and by the way, before you get to the 24 hours, you have to go through a system. You look at Sergeant Bergdahl. We get Bergdahl, a traitor, and they get 5 of the big, great killers, leaders that they want. We have people in Washington that don't know what they're doing. Now,
because the Donald wouldn't.
Now, with Iran, we're making a deal. You would say, we want him. We want him. We want our prisoners. We want all these things. We don't get anything. We're giving them $150 billion plus. They are going to be, I'll tell you what, if Iran was
We're not giving them anything. It's their own fucking money.
We're allowing them to trade.
Because you'll quadruple. What's happened in Iran is a disgrace. And it's going to lead to destruction in large portions of the world.
Another new development today. Senior defense officials tell Fox they strongly suspect Russia was behind a cyber attack on the chairman of the Joint Chiefs Office, emails. This comes in the wake of the director of national intelligence blaming the Chinese for the largest ever cyber attack, stealing personal data of tens of millions of Americans. Senator Cruz.
Yes, Matt.
If you want to contact us. GodlessRebelution@gmail.com.
Contact us on Twitter at TGR Podcast.
And you can find us on Facebook at Godless Rebelution.
Also,
like and rate.
Yes. Please rate us. iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, wherever you get the feed.
Shows like ours live and die on
viewers.
Listeners.
Listeners. No one's actually viewing.
Listeners, but
yeah.
Yeah, if you like the show, share it with your friends. Tell them to listen. Rate us on Stitcher, iTunes, whatever app you happen to be using.
You're appy.
And we've also set up a Google Voice number.
Yes, we have. I believe it is.
I forget off the
330-81-REBEL.
Yes. I'd have to double check that, but I believe that's what it is. 330-81-REBEL.
I think that's right.
Be part of the Godless Rebelution.
330-81-REBEL.
That's correct. Wow.
Sounds like an insurance company number.
This is a new number that we've set up. But
call and leave us a voicemail.
Leave us a voicemail.
And
let us know.
We may read it on the air.
Yeah, let us know if you think that we've fucked up royally on something, or there's something else you would like us to talk about?
Yeah, let us know whose side you come down on, whether or not Kasich was saying that gays should be burned at the stake, or if I was correct.
All right.
Back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Your view, have Russia and China committed acts of cyber war?
Oh, Ted Cruz.
And if you were president,
he was on
what would you do about it?
Well, Brett, of course they have. And over the last 6.5 years, we've seen the consequences of the Obama-Clinton foreign policy. Leading from behind is a disaster. We have abandoned and alienated our friends and allies, and our enemies are stronger. Radical Islam is on the rise. Iran's on the verge of acquiring a nuclear weapon. China is waging cyber warfare against America. Russia, General Soleimani, you just mentioned, the Iranian general, is the head of the Al-Quds forces. He's directly responsible for the murder of over 500 American servicemen in Iraq. And part of this Iranian deal was lifting the international sanctions on General Soleimani. The day General Soleimani flew back from Moscow to Iran was the day we believed that Russia used cyber warfare against the Joint Chiefs. We need a new commander-in-chief that will stand up to our enemies and that will have credibility. It is worth emphasizing that Iran released our hostages in 1981, the day Ronald Reagan was sworn into office.
Oh, shit.
Dr. Carson, in August of 2012, President Obama famously declared that if Syrian President Bashar al-Assad used chemical weapons, quote, that's a red line for us, and that there would be enormous consequences. 1 year later, with overwhelming evidence that Assad had in fact used chemical weapons and crossed that red line, President Obama declined to use military force against the Assad regime. As president, would you have used military force there?
Don't let me down, Ben.
Well, what we have to stop and think about is the fact that we have weakened ourselves militarily to such an extent that it affects all of our military policies. Our Navy is at its smallest size since 1917. Our Air Force since
most
1940,
technically advanced.
In recent testimony, the Commandant of the Marine Corps said half of the non-deployed units were not ready. And, the sequester is cutting the heart out of our personnel.
Your fault.
Our generals are retiring because they don't want to be part of this. And at the same time, our enemies are increasing. Our friends can't trust us anymore. Ukraine was a nuclear-armed state. They gave away their nuclear arms with the understanding that we would protect them. We won't even give them offensive weapons. We turned our back on Israel, our ally, and in a situation like that, of course, Obama's not going to be able to do anything. I would shore up our military first, because if you don't get the military right, nothing else is going to work.
Governor Walker, as president, what would you do if
because our military is suffering so much.
Allies, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, mirroring the actions Putin took at the early days of Ukraine?
Well, first off, for the cyber attack with Russia the other day, it's sad to think right now, but probably the Russian and Chinese government know more about Hillary Clinton's email server than do the members of the United States Congress.
Back to Hillary's emails.
Shot, man.
Yeah.
And that has put our national security at risk. If I'm president, he won't think about that. Putin believes in the old Lenin adage that you probe with bayonets. When you find mush, you push. When you find steel, you stop. Under Obama and Clinton, we found a lot of mush over the last few years. We need to have a national security that puts steel in front of our enemies. I would send weapons to Ukraine. I would work with NATO to put forces on the eastern border of Poland and the Baltic nations. And I would reinstate and put in place back in the missile defense system that we had in Poland and in the Czech Republic.
Governor
Huckabee, find steel.
Governor Huckabee, the culture of the American military is definitely changing. Women are moving into combat roles. Don't ask, don't tell has obviously been dropped. And now Defense Secretary Ashton Carter recently directed the military to prepare for a moment when it is welcoming transgender persons to serve openly. As Commander-in-Chief, how would you handle that?
The military is not a social experiment. The purpose of the military is kill people and break things. It's not to transform the culture by trying out some ideas that some people think would make us a different country and more diverse.
It's from the
guy purpose is to protect America.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how paying for transgender surgery for soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines makes...
I want to. If I were young, I would love to say that I was a female, so that I could shower with the other females and look at their fucking boobies.
Yeah, this is when he said he was 67 or something. When he said that,
what a fucking shithead.
The thing is they're letting them serve openly, not having to hide who they are. They are already
not susceptible to fucking blackmail.
Yeah, gay, lesbian, transgender people serving in the fucking military, but they're having to hide who the fuck they are.
What a fucking asshole.
Country safer. We've reduced the military by 25% under President Obama.
Good.
The disaster is that we've forgotten why we have a military.
No.
What? The purpose of it is to make sure that we protect every American wherever that American is. And if American is calling out for help, whether it's in Benghazi or at the border,
Benghazi,
then we ought to be able to answer. We've not done that because we've decimated our military. We're flying B-52s. The most recent one that was put in service was November of 1962.
Yeah, because we got better airplanes now.
Yes, because we have other
We've only got 44
Yes.
that are in service, combat ready. And the fact is, most of them are older than me. And that's pretty scary.
We do not carpet bomb countries anymore.
Senator Paul, the first budget you proposed as senator cut all financial aid to Israel. You have since changed your view on that issue. What made you change your mind?
Were all these candidates given the questions?
Let's be clear. I'm the only one on the stage who actually has a 5-year budget that balances. I've put pencil to paper, and I've said I would cut spending, and I've said exactly where. Each one of my budgets has taken a meat axe to foreign aid because I think we ought to quit sending it to countries that hate us.
Axe.
I think we ought to quit sending it to countries that burn our flag. Israel's not one of those.
That's a fucking stupid shit thing to say.
Ultimately, they will be stronger when they're independent.
Yeah.
My position is exactly the same.
I'm not gonna send money to countries who will burn our flag.
And they have every right to burn it if they want to.
What a fucking dumbass motherfucking thing to say.
Yeah,
I just American exceptionalism.
I just don't understand this fucking filleting the Jews in Israel thing. I mean, I'm all for humanism, but Jesus Christ, what the fuck is it about the Jews?
Well, it's in their land that Jesus Christ will return and save the fucking planet from ultimate destruction.
Yeah, you didn't see that Huckabee thing where he's standing there, where behind him is like, "This is where Jesus is going to come back."
Yeah, I did. I mean.
But we shouldn't borrow money from China to send it anywhere, but why don't we start with eliminating aid to our enemies?
Okay, but you still say
never hear
that
Jews
Israel
saying
could
Judeo-Christian.
be one of the countries that is cut from financial aid.
I still say exactly what my original opinion is. Do you borrow money from China to send it to anyone? Out of your surplus, you can help your allies, and Israel is a great ally, and this is no particular animus of Israel. But what I will say, and I will say over and over again, we cannot give away money we don't have. We do not project power from bankruptcy court. We're borrowing $1 million a minute. It's got to stop somewhere.
Governor Christie, what do you think of that answer?
Well, listen, if we want to deal with these issues, we have to deal with them in a way that makes sense. I agree with what Dr. Carson said earlier. The first thing we need to do to make America stronger is to strengthen our military. And I put out a really specific plan.
Because our military is so fucking weak.
Active duty soldiers in the Army. No less than 185,000 active duty Marines in the Marine Corps. Bring us to a 350-ship Navy again and modernize the Ohio-class of submarines and bring our Air Force back to 2,600 aircraft that are ready to go. Those are the kind of things that are going to send a clear message around the world. Those are the things that we need to start working on immediately to make our country stronger and make it better. Those are the things that we need to be able to be doing. And as we move towards dealing with foreign aid, I don't disagree with Senator Paul's position that we shouldn't be funding our enemies, but I absolutely believe that Israel is a priority to be able to fund and keep them strong and safe after.
So okay, so hold on. How long has Switzerland been funding their military?
A little bit.
Oh yeah, but nobody knows because it doesn't fucking matter. Because when was the last time they were at threat for invasion? Never, because they don't go to fucking war.
But here's the thing:
not go to fucking war. How about that? Is that an option?
With wanting to increase the warships and aircraft and build, we got that. But like the F-22 and F-35. Yeah. Right now, the current aircraft, the Air Force that's fighting is the F-16. An F-22 is supposed to replace 4 F-16s.
Yeah.
With its firepower and capabilities.
Right.
That's where we're going to.
Not
I
gonna fucking
guarantee
happen.
it's the same with the Navy. We create Navy ships that one ship will take over the same amount of power that 4 or 5 other ships could have done to be able to limit the amount of money we're spending on aircrafts.
Yeah, so you're talking about
how many people do we have to have on fucking horseback?
Yeah. So before we like say an F-16, you got 15 people, 20 people assigned to one aircraft. Multiply that by 4. Now take an F-22 and you got the same, only 15 people working on it. That's a reduction in force you need. That's what we're going for. We're going for more technologically advanced military, which needs a reduction in force.
I just think it would be great to not be at war sometime.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, and that too.
That's all. And tax the churches, like,
or we could go back.
There's so much fucking money tied up in the churches. It's fucking ridiculous.
We could go back to a 1920s and 30s stance where we have just enough force to protect our own fucking borders and don't give a fuck about what happens elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, that's
this
fair.
administration.
Governor, thank you.
Brett, can I jump in on this one?
No.
Senator, we're going to finish
Ted.
up with some more
No,
questions.
Ted, you're done.
We have to
You're
stand
cut
by
off.
because after the break, we're going to let the candidates make their closing statements, their final thoughts, and
Ted, you had too much to drink. You're done.
stay tuned for that.
Did she say and God?
Yeah, she did.
Rewind it.
And God.
And God.
Because after the break, we're going to let the candidates make their closing statements, their final thoughts, and God.
She did.
Stay tuned for
God.
God.
And God.
And the good old GO of D's.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Jesus Christ.
Here we go.
We're gonna let them make their final statements and
God.
Oh, he's finally making an appearance, isn't he?
Oh, brother.
Because
he's been so absent so far.
Yeah, you can't fucking run for president and
not have
say
God.
Jesus take the wheel and figure that just God will handle all of this shit by himself, right? You have to do this stuff by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
and take care of first.
Okay.
I'm gonna back this up a little bit.
Back just a little bit.
And the next
what's this? Oh,
Citibank.
Citibank.
Yay!
Fox debate.
Welcome back. In our final moments here together, we're going to allow the candidates to offer their final thoughts. But first, we want to ask them an interesting closing question from Chase Norton on Facebook, who wants to know this of the candidates. I want to know if any of them have received a word from God on what they should do and take care of first.
Of course, every fucking one of them has.
Yes. Any word from God?
Yeah, I'm supposed to be president.
Well, I am blessed to receive a word from God every day and receiving the scriptures and reading the scriptures. And God speaks through the Bible.
Every day. Every fucking day.
I'm the son of a pastor and an
His Bible has
evangelist, and I've
Bluetooth.
described many times how my father, when I was a child, was an alcoholic. He wasn't
Cuban?
a Christian, and my father
My
left
father
my
was
mother
an alcoholic and full
left
of
me
shit.
when I was just 3 years old, and someone invited him to Clay Road Baptist
Molested
Church,
me
he
and
gave
touched
his
my
heart to
pee-pee.
Jesus, and it turned him around, and he got on a plane, and he flew back to my mother and me. I would also note that the scripture tells us, you shall know them by their fruits. We see lots of campaign conservatives.
Are those testicles?
But if we're going to win in 2016, we need a consistent conservative, someone who's been a fiscal conservative,
say a lot more
a social
than that,
conservative,
though,
a
buddy.
national
Yeah.
security conservatives. There are real differences among the candidates on issues like amnesty, like Obamacare, like religious liberty, like life and marriage. And I have been proud to fight and stand for religious liberty, to stand against Planned Parenthood, to defend life for my entire career, and I will be proud to continue to do so as President of the United States.
Luckily, that will never fucking happen.
Yeah.
Well, Megan, my father was a mailman. His father was a coal miner. My mother's mother could barely speak English, and
My
their
dad
son
was a
today
mailman.
stands on
Was
this
he?
podium
My
in the great
grandfather was
state
a
of Ohio,
mailman.
not
Holy
only as
shit.
the governor, but a candidate for president of the United States. I do believe in miracles. You know, I've had a lot of
You're a
elections.
fucking idiot.
But my elections are really not about campaigns. I tell my people that these are about a movement. And a movement to do what? to restore common sense, a movement to do things like provide economic growth, and a movement not to let anybody be behind. Today, the country's divided. You asked a question about the police and the difficulty in communities. We've got to unite our country again, because we're stronger when we are united, and we are weaker when we are divided. And we've got to listen to other people's voices, respect them, but keep in mind, and I believe in terms of the things that I've read in my lifetime, the Lord's not picking us, but because of how we respect human rights, because that we are a good force in the world, He wants America to be strong, He wants America to succeed, and He wants America to lead. And
Jesus
nothing's more
only
important
loves
to me
America.
than my family,
And
my
Republicans
faith,
are the worst
and my
at
friends.
human rights in this country.
Governor Walker.
They're the
Same
worst.
question.
What are you talking about?
Well, thanks, Megan. I'm certainly an imperfect man, and it's only by the blood of Jesus Christ that I've been redeemed from my sins.
He bathes in the
God
blood.
hasn't called me to do a specific thing. God hasn't given me a list, the 10 commandments, if you will, of things to act on the first day. What God calls us to do is follow His will. And ultimately, that's what I'm going to try and do. And I hope people have seen in my state, even in the big challenges I took on when I had over...
That's a direct fucking conflict with the United States fucking Constitution.
Yes.
Yep.
You cannot impose your religious beliefs on everybody else within the fucking country.
Yeah.
On our Capitol trying to do what I thought was the right thing. It wasn't just how I took on those political battles. It was ultimately how I acted, not responding in kind, not lashing out, but just being decent going forward and living my life in a way that would be a testimony to Him and His faith, and our faith.
Senator Rubio, I want to ask you the same
Him
question,
and
but I do
his
want to
faith,
mention
our faith.
a woman just came here to the stage and asked, what about the veterans? I want to hear more about what these candidates are going to do for our nation's veterans. So I put the question to you about
because
God
you don't fucking
and
care
the
about
veterans,
them
which is
after
trying
they've
to
gone
be
to
related.
war.
Well, first let me say I think God has blessed us. He's blessed the Republican Party with some very good candidates. The Democrats can't even find one.
Yeah, one that's beat you guys for the last 2 fucking election cycles, you fuck.
And I believe God has blessed our country. This country's been extraordinarily blessed, and we have honored that blessing, and that's why God has continued to bless us.
That's why
And
we
He's
need to
blessed
put
us
up
with young men
walls
and
and
women
borders.
willing to
Yeah.
risk their lives and sometimes die in uniform for the safety and security of our people.
Here we go.
Unfortunately, today we have a VA that does not do enough for them. I am proud that last year we helped change the law. We changed the law
Why
to give
doesn't
the power
fucking
to the
God
VA
do something
secretary
then,
the
you
ability to
idiot?
fire any executive that isn't doing their job. And it is outrageous.
Yeah,
They've
what
only
about
fired
money?
one person to date. When I'm president of the United States, we're going to have a VA that cares more about our veterans than about the bureaucrats who work at the VA.
So you gave the bureaucrats in the VA the power?
Why doesn't your God heal them if it's His mission, you fucking
and his
idiot?
role, but also one of the issues that the public was very interested in, and we touched on it earlier, is race relations in this country and how divided we seem right now.
Says
and
the blue-eyed,
what,
blonde-haired
if
white
anything, you
woman.
can do, you would do as the next president to help heal that divide?
Well, I think the bully pulpit is a wonderful place to start healing that divide. You know, we have the purveyors of hatred who take every single incident between people of 2 races and try to make a race war out of it and drive wedges into people. And this does not need to be done. What we need to think about instead, you know, I was asked by an NPR reporter once, why don't I talk about race that often? I said, it's because I'm a neurosurgeon. And she thought that was a strange response. And I said, you see, when I take someone to the operating room, I'm actually operating on the thing that makes them who they are. The skin doesn't make them who they are. The hair doesn't make them who they are. And it's time for us to move beyond that because...
And realize that Jesus is your Savior.
Yeah.
You're doing me right, though. You're doing me right, that Ben Carson.
Our strength as a nation comes in our unity. We are the United States of America, not the divided states. And those who want to destroy us are trying to divide us, and we shouldn't let them do it.
So get rid of the Republican Party.
The most
Now,
mundane
each candidate
I'm sticking with it.
We'll make a closing statement. You'll all have
Sticking
30
with it.
seconds to make a closing statement
No, boy, here
for
we
this
go.
debate. We'll start with Ohio Governor John Kasich.
What, you know, tonight we hear about what people want to do. I want to tell you what I've done. I was a member of the Armed Services Committee for 18 years. I spent a big chunk of my life studying national security issues and our role in the world. Number 2, I was the chairman of the House Budget Committee and one of the chief architects the last time we balanced the budget And it was the first time we'd done it since man walked on the moon. We had a $5 trillion surplus and we cut taxes. I spent 10 years in the private sector actually learning how business works. And now I'm the governor of Ohio, and I inherited a state that was on the brink of dying. And we've turned it all around with jobs and balanced budgets and rising credit and tax cuts. And the state is unified and people have hope again in Ohio.
Governor Christie.
Well, thank you, Megan. Listen, I was born into a middle-class family in New Jersey. My dad came home from serving in the Army after having lost his father, worked in the Breyers ice cream plant in Newark, New Jersey, and was the first person to graduate from college, put himself through college at night. My mom was a secretary. I was appointed United States Attorney on September 10th, 2001, and spent the next 7 years of my career fighting terrorism and putting terrorists in jail. I'm a conservative, pro-life governor in a state where it's really tough to be both. In a state like New Jersey with lots of Democrats, but still we cut taxes, we balanced budgets, we fought the teachers union. This president has had weak leadership, which has led to bad choices. We got to stop worrying about being loved and start worrying about being respected, and that's exactly how I'll lead our country.
He's been bold tonight.
Senator Paul, closing statement.
He has. I'm a different kind of Republican. I've introduced a 5-year balanced budget. I've introduced the largest tax cut in our history. I stood for 10.5 hours on the Senate floor to defend your right to be left alone. But I've also gone to Chicago. I've gone to Detroit. I've been to Ferguson. I've been to Baltimore because I want our party to be bigger, better, and bolder. And I'm the only one that leads Hillary Clinton in 5 states that were won by President Obama. I'm a different kind of Republican.
No, you're the same.
Senator Marco Rubio.
Thank you. You know, both of my parents were born into poor families on the island of Cuba. They came to America because it was the only place where people like them could have a chance.
Illegally?
Here in this country, they never made it big, but the very purpose of their life was to give us the chance to do all the things they never could.
No such thing.
My father was a bartender. And the journey from the back of that bar to this stage tonight, to me, that's the essence of the American dream. It's what makes our nation different. And I'm running for president because I want that to still be possible for the people trying to do that now. I run for president because I believe that we can't just save the American dream. We can expand it to reach more people and change more lives than ever before. And that's why I'm asking for your vote. So we can make America greater than it's ever been and make of this century a new American century.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Ted Cruz.
If I am elected president, let me tell you about my first day in office. The first thing I intend to do is to rescind every illegal and unconstitutional executive action taken by Barack Obama. The next thing I intend to do is instruct the Department of Justice to open an investigation into these videos and to prosecute Planned Parenthood for any criminal violations. The next thing I intend to do is instruct the Department of Justice and the IRS to start persecuting religious liberty. I then intend to cancel the Iran deal and finally move the U.S. Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. I will keep my word. My father fled Cuba, and I will fight to defend liberty because my family knows what it's like to lose it.
Dr. Carson, closing statement.
Because of America.
Well, I haven't said anything about me being the only one to do anything, so let me try that. I'm the only one to separate Siamese twins. The only one to operate on babies while they were still in the mother's womb. The only one to take out half of a brain, although you would think if you go to Washington that someone had beat me to it.
Oh, shit.
Including my own.
Not a bad joke. Not a bad joke. I'm sticking with my boy Carson.
But I'm very hopeful that I'm not the only one who's willing to pick up the baton of freedom, because freedom is not free and we must fight for it every day. Every one of us must fight for it because we're fighting for our children and the next generation.
But we shouldn't have to fight.
Yeah. Governor Mike Huckabee, closing statement.
It seems like this election has been a whole lot about a person who's very high in the polls, but doesn't have a clue about how to govern.
Oh, shit.
A person who has been filled with scandals and who could not lead. And, of course, I'm talking about Hillary Clinton.
Oh, you fucking pussy. Oh, yeah, man.
I think America is in trouble.
Yeah. What a fucking
But
baby.
it's not beyond repair. But it's going to take leadership who sees the greatness of this country and who believes that once again we can be one nation under God. I'll be my best to do that, and thank you, for your support.
Fuck you.
And Trump.
Because clearly the Second Amendment means nothing.
I'm a guy with a wife and 2 kids and a Harley. One article called me aggressively normal. I ran for governor because I was worried about my kids' future.
I don't know what that means.
Then I took on the big government union bosses, and we won.
Yeah, you
they
took
tried
away
to recall
teachers'
me,
pay.
and we won. They target us again, and we won. We balanced the budget, cut taxes, and turned our state around with big, bold reforms.
By taking away
It wasn't too
people's
late
money.
for Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And it's not too late for America.
And cutting,
That's why I asked
cutting
for your
some of the
vote.
food items that wealthier people could. Yeah.
Governor Bush, closing statement, sir.
Here's what I believe. I believe we're at the verge of the greatest time to be alive in this world.
Yep.
But Washington is holding us back.
Nope.
How we tax, how we regulate. We're not embracing the energy revolution in our midst, a broken immigration system that has been politicized rather than turning it into an economic driver. We're not protecting and preserving our entitlement system or reforming for the next generation. All these things languish while we have politicians in Washington using these as wedge issues. Here's my commitment to you, because I did it as Florida. We can fix these things. We can grow economically and restore America's leadership in the world so that everybody has a chance to rise up. I humbly ask for your vote whenever you're going to get to vote, whenever the primary is. Thank you all very much.
Mr. Trump, closing statement, sir.
Here we go.
Our country is in serious trouble. We don't win anymore. We don't beat China in trade. We don't beat Japan with their millions and millions of cars coming into this country in trade. We can't beat Mexico at the border or in trade. We can't do anything right. Our military has to be strengthened. Our vets have to be taken care of. We have to end Obamacare, and we have to make our country great again, and I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you.
It's over.
That's it.
You relieved?
He just
You were nervous before? They don't look relieved. They're like, get me out of here. Thank you all very much. And that will do it for the first Republican primary debate night of the 2016 presidential race.
Yeah. A lot of fuckery going on.
Heinous fuckery.
I'm going to have to re-listen to this episode to see about our disagreement.
I'm fucking trashed.
I know, and that's
like
why
super drunk.
That's why I'm fairly certain I'm right.
No, you're not. Like I'm super fucking drunk, dude. Like I'm trying to look at the fucking television monitor here in front of me, and I'm half the time having to close one eye.
Yeah.
So that I can and focus on what the fuck is going on.
And you're gonna tell me that Kasich was saying that gays should be burned at the stake.
No.
Okay, so yes, thank you.
He's still better than fucking Ben Carson.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Hey, you know, out of all the candidates, I think I made a pretty good fucking guess.
I disagree.
For the most mundane.
I mean, if you're going for like the least amount of harm possible.
That was the challenge.
And the least amount of time to speak.
That was exactly the challenge. That was exactly the challenge. Yes.
Well, what'd you think about Christie?
I thought he was very bold. I think he's going to be the one that gets the biggest spike in poll results after this debate, because I think he was strong. I think Walker's going to do well too, but I think Christie is going to really take a.
I like Christie the most.
So, what do you think about Trump's standing as far as polls go?
Fucking moron, dude.
Going forward, what do you think of Trump's?
He got a lot of cheers.
Yeah, I think
the audience loved him.
I think he'll still do well, but I think in the next couple weeks coming up, the media is going to be real heavy scrutinizing.
Whoa, fuck yeah, sure.
Everything that he's talked about. Everything he really didn't say that much. I mean,
and if you look at the TV, he's trying to shoot him.
Yeah, I think Christie will go up quite a bit.
Yeah,
Huckabee was just as disappointing as I thought he would be.
Does Trump have a chance to get the nomination?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think after this, Trump will still lead the polls.
I think what Trump was basically saying right off the bat at the beginning was, if you don't give me the nomination, I am running independent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he did say that.
Yeah, I think at the end of this, Trump will still lead the polls.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it'll start to deviate though. Like we'll see a fluctuation here in about 5 to 7 days. I think Christie and Walker Huckabee will all rise a little bit. I think Bush did pretty well. I mean, I hate all these guys, right? I don't like having to defend them, but I'm just saying. Actually, I think I'm gonna defend my boy Carson. Yeah. I think he did a lot better than I thought. I thought he was gonna just come off as
like 3 times
a total moron. But
I think I'm too drunk to make very many prognostications at this point.
Wow, you got it out though. You got that word out.
I got prognostications out.
All right.
Well, on that note,
thank you very much, everybody.
Hope you enjoyed this special episode.
Godless Interruption.
Yes.
Part 2.
Deuce. Part 2?
Part 2.
Part 2. TOO.
Perfect. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.